Hello?
Hey, I didn't even know you can make phone calls with this.
What were you expecting?
I thought we were just gonna text each other back and forth.
Oh. Alright.
Well, no, I mean it's fine. No, like I said, like this is the first time I ever really did Discord. I fucked around with it a couple days ago,
Mm-hmm.
but wow. So I didn't even know you could even make phone calls through Discord. So forgive my ignorance.
Yeah. We got a lot of things going on in the world right now.
Oh, I know, and I should be way more tech savvy. I don't know. I'm getting there slowly.
Hopefully. Hopefully. Uh,
Yeah. So anyway, I watched one of your YouTube videos. Forgive me, I probably should have watched more of them when I was doing the landscaping shit today. But
yeah,
what's
so
the?
uh
Yeah, go
you
ahead.
you left a as I like to say, you left a bizarre comment on my YouTube video. So I respond to all of my comments just because, well, I don't respond to every single one, but I read them all and I respond to anything that I feel like is interesting enough to respond to. And you definitely left a very bizarre comment. I'm going to try to bring it up real quick, just so I know exactly what we're dealing with. What video was it on? Do you remember?
One of your newer ones. Damn it! No, I don't. I'm sorry. I don't.
You don't know. Oh, well, it was one of them. It was one of them. Are you Chris Sanders? Is that you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure if that's your real full name or not. That's what's on your YouTube, so my apologies. But okay. So yeah, you commented on my Joe Rogan video. So is that do you like that person? Is that how you found me?
You know, I don't even know. Like sometimes I was just going down the rabbit hole on YouTube.
All right, it happens.
Yeah, and then I just found you, and like I told you, like God, usually, puts people in my life that I need to meet or need to like that intrigue me or fascinate me or I find interesting. Like it's just the way my life's been. Like I told you, I
Mhm.
dated a movie star sister. It's just totally bizarre. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So you said you're 30 something, 36?
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Okay. Okay. So, have you watched any other of my videos?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, maybe the one other one. I think I commented on two of your videos or two times on one video. But
Okay.
I knew instantly that you're a very very cool person and that there's more to you than most people.
Okay. All
Mm.
right. I'll
I
take it.
mean I mean that's a kind of a compliment, I
I
think.
I think maybe maybe. So yeah, let me
Right.
just read this comment real quick, just because again, very fascinating stuff. This is something I'd love. I usually when people leave comments like this, they don't offer to talk to me, so I'd love to just see what's going on in your psyche. So I got it open. It says segments of American society is instead of are, but is demonizing straight white males for all the problems in the country. Dot dot dot. No space. End result, straight white male suicide rates are exploding and are becoming gay and transgender to turn themselves into victims too. So what went through your brain when you wrote that?
Well, basically there are statistics that show that straight white males are like overdosing on heroin and
Yeah.
killing themselves at a higher rate than any other demographic.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to, like a lot of times I'll try to like be a little controversial to get people thinking.
Right, to get them thinking. I was definitely
Yeah.
thinking.
Right, and I want to, I just, okay, so that's one of the reasons why I want to talk to you is because I personally you know, I've crashed my car more than once.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Trying to probably, unknowingly, I passed out behind the wheel of
Mm-hmm.
alcohol.
Alcohol, you said?
Yeah, and I survived
All right.
each time. You know what I mean? So I could have fit in that demographic. No,
The
God,
demographic that kills themselves, or the ones that become gay for attention?
no, the straight white male suicide.
Okay.
I could have been that guy.
Yeah,
Uh, Apparently, God had other plans for me.
it seems
um,
so.
right, and maybe that's one of his plans is for me to talk with you today.
It's
Which
possible.
I really appreciate. I cannot stress that enough. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I said it in my text. I'll say it in my voice. Um, I'm trying to learn. Like because I love teaching, but being a good teacher means that you got to be a good learner first.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I tell my boyfriend, I say, hey, just because I'm stupid doesn't mean I don't like to learn.
I feel it. I feel it.
So
Yeah, I
anyway,
mean, usually when people write these extremely fascinating comments, they usually do that to in an effort to put me in some sort of potential personal anguish that usually never happens, and they always run away when I offer to converse with them. So again, I love learning what other people think about the world. So like, what led you to thinking that straight white males turn themselves into trans people to be victims? Like, can you further go down like what exactly that means, or is that just you just writing something you don't believe just for to fish in the pond?
well, I can't back it up with some scientific study, if that's what you're wondering.
Okay.
Uh, but I can just say it as a hunch.
A hunch.
Um,
Okay.
is and I could be wrong. I'm like Joe Rogan. I every opinion that I have is totally can be changed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not rock solid on any opinion. Over time, like I try to explain to people that I talk to, is when you're young, your ideas are kind of like a bag of rocks. And then in your 20s, you kind of solidify the bag of rocks with concrete. But you talk to people and they chisel away at the concrete. And then your concrete ideas become harder because you constantly want to learn and solidify your ideas, until like they get hard as a diamond or something, like you just want your ideas to not be able to be broken by people. And the only way you can get your ideas solidified is by talking to people about your ideas, and have your
Yeah.
ideas changed, you know what I mean? And that's perfectly okay. Let people challenge my idea. Oh wow, I didn't even think of it like that. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's how I roll. I mean, really.
All right.
Um so I'm here, like I told you, like if you want to record this conversation in order to show it to somebody else or something down the road, or just keep it like as a personal diary, or whatever.
I mean, my intent is usually to upload it to YouTube, but I mean, you can tell me not to if you don't want me to. That's your decision.
Oh wow. I
Yeah.
mean, well, maybe you could upload. I mean, like, well, I guess you. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything I'm gonna regret. I'm gonna tell you that. All right?
Yeah. That's
and I'm Yeah, and I'm sure you're not gonna say anything you're gonna. So, I
oh,
mean, we'll just see.
everything is
We'll just
something I regret.
right.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
you know,
sarcasm.
I try to, I, oh, yeah, I try to speak with purpose. You know, and like I told you, I'm not gonna bore you, um, at all. You know, actually, I'm a very curious person, and I think that's just me being me. So one of the reasons I've been able to meet so many people in my life is actually because I was born with a syndrome. It was called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome,
Yeah. What's that about?
and so that syndrome it makes my skin stretch,
Right.
and it makes my like joints more elastic.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I was like I in high school and in junior high, a little bit in elementary school, but you know, like I would stretch my skin out and do like stupid human stunts or whatever. Like they would, say. And
Okay. All right.
I would end up meeting a lot of people with by doing this. And as a result, like my freshman year in high school, like I was stretching my skin out, and I was like friends with all these seniors. Like what? And they're like, dude, because one of the bad things is that my skin is really thin and it breaks easily.
Okay.
And so like the seniors in high school were like, dude, if anybody fucks with you, let me know. And so like I ended up making out with this dude's girlfriend, and he was another freshman, and his girlfriend was a freshman, and like he ended up finding out. But because I knew so many people in high school, like word got around. You know, like
Oh yeah.
they're like they're like, dude, this guy's gonna try to fight you at lunch, and I'm like, really? And so then I told the seniors this, and they're like, man, Stretch, we're gonna be lined up along the locker. If this motherfucker tries to fight you, just give us this signal or something, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
come over there.
The
And
signal.
no, yeah, we had some sort of signal, like I was gonna rub my head or something. And sure as shit, the guy comes up to me, fucking says, "Dude, man, why you making out with my girl or whatever?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Man, I don't know what you're talking about, dude." And I did the signal, and the seniors came up, and they're like, "Bro, man, you got a problem with Stretch? Because that's my that's my nickname is Stretch."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Nah, man, dude, we're cool, man. We're me and Stretch, we're cool." And ended up never having to get into a fight with the guy. He just walked away, whatever. And
It's
a
pretty
couple
good.
months yeah, and then a couple months later, he broke up with this girl, and he actually came to my house. I was like, "How the fuck is this going?" And he apologized to me at my house. Like,
That's pretty
dude, I'm
good.
sorry. Yeah, so like, I don't know, man. Like, I was like 15, 16 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and after that happened, there was a part of me that felt invincible, almost like, damn, I could fucking do anything, like,
I mean, yeah, you
like,
survived a near-death experience right there. Totally.
yeah, and it was because of my syndrome, and it just sort of twisted my outlook on life. Like, like I I'm one of these people that can do shit and get away with it, like and be fucking rightfully wrong. Like the seniors, I told them I was like, yeah, I made out to dudes, and they knew that, but they still defended me. So that was a trip.
It's definitely
But
an impressive life
but
story.
yeah, and that attitude sort of carried with me into the bars
The
because then I would
bars,
stretch my yeah when I turned 21,
right?
and then I would stretch my skin out at the bars, and I would meet all these people, fucking, and then that's when I got the nickname Celebrity Stretch.
Right?
and and mind you, I dated that movie star sister when I was 19. So,
Mm-hmm.
but see, that was the crazy thing though, is that I was dating an 18-year-old chick, and I was cheating on her, like when I was 18, and
Right?
I was cheating on her every chance I got. I'm
Every
not proud.
chance.
Yeah, I'm not proud about it, but she would catch me cheating on her, and she would not break up with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like I was the biggest asshole. And then that's when, because I don't know, I know, look, we're going to start off kind of talking about me just because I want to get that out of the way.
Feel
but
free. Feel free. I
Okay.
don't know if I'm going to give you my life story or anything, but you can do whatever you want.
All right. So the reason I know the movie star and his sister and all that is because my dad worked at Mark Ruffalo's father's or uncle's painting company,
Right?
and so my dad met Frank Ruffalo, which is Mark's dad,
Mm-hmm.
and they really hit it off, I guess. And Frank would come over and drink with my dad. My dad was throwing parties all the time when I was growing up. Fucking, it was just another day, just to
Mm-hmm.
have a big banger and at the
Love me a
house.
big banger.
Yeah. And so then, you know, Mark started getting involved in movies and stuff, and then so that's how I ended up meeting Mark Ruffalo and stuff. In case you're, I mean, obviously you're probably wondering like
I
how the
mean,
fuck this is
I'm pretty sure he
going.
likes Bernie Sanders, so it sounds good like a good guy to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I like Bernie as well.
So
Who do you support for president?
I mean, I'm just gonna stick with the demon that I know, the devil that I know with Trump, man. Like Biden is, I don't even know if he's all there. He can't
Yeah.
seem to, So anyway, so that's how I ended up meeting Mark Ruffalo's sister and stuff. So, but this is why I brought it up is because the only the only reason I left Lisa, the 18-year-old chick that I was dating, was because Tanya Ruffalo came into my life,
Mm-hmm.
and she was the last chick that I cheated on Lisa with,
Right?
and this is like before cell phones. Everybody had a cell phone. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have a cell phone. I don't, maybe Lisa had one, but I didn't have one. And so basically, I ghosted Lisa. I just fucking I moved out of my dad's basement, which wasn't hard to do. I just brought my clothes, and I lived with Tanya Ruffalo, and I just never called Lisa, never answered her phones because every time I would talk to her, she's such a nice girl, and I just didn't have the heart to break up with her. But like I was like thinking, God sent me this movie star sister just to be like, Chris, leave this girl here, beautiful fucking Italian chick, big boobs, fucking her brother's movie star. Just break up with this 18-year-old girl. Let her go.
All right.
And you know what I mean? And that's one of the things that I was talking about, the destiny and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that broke up, like she tried killing herself and I saved her life.
Who?
Uh,
The first or the second one?
no, Tanya.
Right.
Yeah, so her and her dad got into a big argument, her and her Frank. And like I actually would call Frank, I was calling him Uncle Frank when I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So like he was close,
Yeah.
and he was yelling at Tanya, and I'm 19 years old. I don't know, I'm like a little stretchy dude. And she's like, "Why didn't you stand up and fight for me when you seen Frank yelling at me?" And I'm like, "I don't. Frank's like my uncle. I don't. And I'm a little dude. Frank just stopped me." And I don't know if you know that about Mark Ruffalo, but his dad Frank was very abusive.
I know nothing about that, so that
Yeah,
sucks
which
though.
kind of Yeah, and it pisses me off whenever Frank does interviews on the late night shows. He never really talks about his abusive father and stuff. It's like it's like why? You know how many people Mark could help if he brought that up, you know?
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
So I don't want to like spread rumors or nothing, but really, why the fuck would I lie about it? You know what I mean? Why would I lie?
That's a great
Like,
question. I couldn't answer that question if I tried.
right. And that was the one thing. I moved up to a small town in Wisconsin, when I was like 21,
Do you live there
and I was
now?
no, I
Okay.
I live in a big town in Wisconsin now,
Okay.
but it pissed me off because like I moved up there and then I got a job at a dog food factory and I was explaining, yeah, I dated Mark Ruffalo's sister, and like nobody believed me.
That's a,
And I
that's a
was
shame.
yeah, it just sucks when, when people think you're lying about something so ridiculous. Like what? Like so random. Like but I do have a picture, like a autograph picture for Mark Ruffalo. So hopefully that helped chill them out. But anyway, I digress.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I ended up being single for 7. Yeah. So she tried killing herself. She locked herself in the garage with the car running. I just
Okay.
so At the time I just so happened to be working for a demolition company. So like I learned how to like take apart door jams and shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I used that knowledge and wisdom in order to pry the door open because it was locked.
That's pretty
And
good,
I was able
actually.
to, yeah, so it was really freaky. And so I was able to save her life. And so basically that was the end of that relationship. I'm like, this is a bitch crazy.
So that after
Um,
you save someone's life, your reaction afterward was, "This bitch is crazy," and then you just slide out.
oh, no, I went and visited her at the psychiatric ward
Okay.
where she stayed at for a couple weeks because to me, love is a serious thing. You just don't, I was calling her name, open the door, she could have came and opened the door at any moment, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and so I don't really fuck around, if I'm in love with somebody and they're trying to kill themselves, that's disrespectful, I guess.
I
So, but
I don't know about that, but that's your prerogative, I suppose. Now, is this 19-year-old you with this formulation, or is this you with this formulation? Like, this is something you thought at the time, and you still believe that?
no, yeah, it was definitely, that was something that went through my mind, like if this woman loved me so much, why would she do that? To me. Like if she would have opened the door and said, "Sorry, Chris, I'm stupid." I would have forgiven her and everything, but it was just ridiculous. And what made it worse was because I was shouting her name, the neighbors got involved. They called the cops, and right as I was saving her life and shit, her life was basically saved. The
Mm-hmm.
cops pulled up and they're like, "What's going on here?" And I was sick and tired of it. It's almost like, it was, I don't know. I just don't like to be fucked with like, and
Well, if I were to make any sort of analysis of the situation I know nothing about, I would reckon if someone is trying to kill themselves, that it probably doesn't really have much to do with you. I
oh
imagine.
yeah, nothing, yeah, it had nothing to do with what with
Yeah.
me. It was. I think she was just sick and tired of fighting with her dad, or if anything.
Mhm.
But anyway, like I said, but she was a really cool chick up until that point, and like I said, I was single for the next 7 years of my life.
How did that go?
Um, Well, I was fucking 19, until, 20, 21, 23. I was single all the way until I was 26 years old, because I was, I was always, I wrote, in my opinion, I rose the bar so high when I dated the movie star sister that almost no female could actually reach that level. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I was just sick and tired of being lonely. Obviously, I in that 6 years or 7 year span, I tried to kill myself twice.
Mhm.
Um, but I didn't intentionally. I mean, like I overdrank and then got behind the wheel. It's not like fucking was sober and fucking did something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then I was at a gay bar. And one of the people that I met in my life was a lesbian chick.
Mhm.
Um, she was the owner of a pizzeria in the town that I grew up in.
Mhm.
And I started working for her and stuff. And I kind of had feelings for her, even though I knew she was a lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
And me and her still talk to this day. But
Cool.
it just never panned out. Oh, yeah, and then fuck, I don't know. When I was like 30 or something, she ended up hooking up with a dude and getting pregnant and married him or almost married him.
Oof.
I'm like, like damn fucking lesbian chicks.
Oof.
Because you know how like women have the urge to make babies, so
I guess,
so
right?
so I don't know if it was just that, like she just felt like making a baby, so she was just with this dude because that's the only dude she was ever with,
Uh-huh.
and then they end up breaking up after the baby came, like literally right after they ended up breaking up like as she was pregnant,
Right, right.
and so it's just really strange. Do I have a theory that perhaps she just used him to make a baby? I don't know.
It's totally possible. It's I wouldn't say it's outside the realm of possibility. I would rate that as a very conceivable notion.
Right. And as far as I know, she hasn't dated another woman since she left him and had the baby. So, but she hasn't dated another man either.
That's true.
you know.
That's true. You never
So,
know. It's like could land anywhere.
right. So, thank you for listening to me, by the way.
Yeah, no problem.
I mean, I'm not boring you, am I?
I mean, I would prefer to have a more structured conversation, but that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I definitely get it. I mean, we're first meeting each other, and it's kind of like I want you to know where I'm coming from before I start
I feel
asking
you.
you, strange questions.
Context is always appreciated.
Right. And like I said, I can't thank you enough for reaching out to me and being so open and stuff. I mean, you
Sure.
haven't really been that open yet, but I imagine you will be.
We'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
So I just figure if I'm open to you first, it'll make it easier for you to be open with. I mean, does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense actually. So,
All right,
okay.
cause okay, yeah, go
So,
ahead.
I've got a question.
Sure.
So, you said you went down the rabbit hole on YouTube, and that's how you stumbled upon my videos. What exactly did you mean by that?
Just I don't even know. Like it's like when you're looking up videos on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
it like sometimes there'll be like videos beneath the video that you're watching,
Right?
and I think that's how it ended up happening. Is like your video was one of the videos beneath, and like you said, it might have been a Joe Rogan thing because I do watch Joe Rogan
Right?
uh occasionally on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's all.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like this one time, I just searched my own name on YouTube, and I found this black dude. It just so happens, dude's my exact same age, and
Ooh.
so now, like, I fuck with the guy, like, because I think it's really kind of fascinating. Like, this dude has my same name. He's pretty much my same age, and it's just kind of neat to see how somebody my age, as a black man, is living in America.
That's like it's
Like
your alter ego.
yeah, exactly. Like I always thought it would be cool if me and him were roommates. Like it would totally fuck up the mail system. It's totally like
It'd be a good sitcom, that's for sure.
which Chris Sanders does this mail? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm Chris Sanders. This is Chris Sanders. Like we'd be like the dynamic duo.
There you go. There you go.
And it helps because he's a really big black guy too, so he'd have my back. No,
So, like, have you ever spoken to this person, or are you just like manufacturing a parasocial relationship out of like some YouTuber?
no, he actually does live streams and stuff.
Okay.
Hey, I told him the story and everything. I told him kind of like what I told you, you know.
Uh huh.
But so anyway, so 26 years later, I ended up meeting my current boyfriend.
How did
Um,
that go?
I mean, I've been going to the gay bars, since, because that one lesbian chick would bring me to the gay bars with her and stuff. And so like I didn't have like this crazy I never really, oh, gay people, like I've always had an open mind and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just venturing out to a gay bar on my own, And a lot of people know me cuz like I would stretch my skin out at the bar and everything. So
Right.
like I was like,
Memorable.
yeah, exactly. Nobody forgets me and shit. They're like, "Oh, dude, you're fucking that stretchy dude." I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Let me buy you a drink or whatever."
Mm-hmm.
And so I go to this gay bar and I meet this dude and it's this really kind of fucking bizarre, dude, I don't know. Nothing about my life is normal, as you can tell.
This seems like it.
And this is why I want to get to know you because I assume your life must be pretty fascinating as well. I could be wrong. I don't know.
You
But
definitely could be wrong. That's for sure. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
so these gay dudes, they kind of know me. They kind of, anybody at the bar, like, do you really know the person I'm in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all they know is that my skin stretches, and that's as far as I fucking ever went with any of these people. Like I'm like, yo, what's up? And so then this dude Carl, was at the bar, and I never seen him before,
Mm-hmm.
and and I start talking to him, we're hitting it off, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. And then I go to the bathroom, and then I come back, and Carl brings me aside, and he's like, dude, you know all those people that are your friends? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, they were all talking shit about you when you were in the bathroom.
Oh shit. What were they saying?
I I don't even know.
Hmm?
I don't even know what the fuck. They were just talking shit about me.
Okay.
And and I told Carl, I'm like, dude, haters are gonna hate. I've dealt with haters my whole life. Because of my celebrity or because I do these stunts. People hate on me. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Because I'm different.
Yeah. I've experienced similar things.
Right. And they don't know me. Why the fuck are they talking this shit? And the wild thing is that because those people were talking shit about me behind my back, but were friends with me to my face, it tripped Carl out. He like blew his mind almost. And in a way, it made me stand out from the pack or whatever. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Like, damn, there's something really different about him. Is how the fuck are these people cool with him in his face, but when he leaves, they talk shit? Like, god damn, man, this motherfucker is
It's definitely intriguing,
pretty
to say the least.
right, intriguing. Exactly. So, like, really, was what I did really that bad? If they're gonna be friends with me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, what did you do?
I, like I told you, I don't even know. I never rubbed
Right?
any of those people the wrong way in my life, you know.
It just
But
happens.
right, just because I'm different with my stretching skin, and I'm kind of a memorable person.
Right?
It's like, so if it wasn't for, and this is what I say, if it wasn't for those people hating on me, I wouldn't be with him.
Right, yeah.
So,
So?
and the thing is that Carl makes pretty good money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that changes the equation for you, but
What would change here?
is perhaps. now you're understanding why those people were talking shit about me behind my back, maybe because
Are they all rich?
no, no, oh no, no,
Okay.
no.
All right.
So this is the thing, though. Carl was at the tail end of a 14-year gay relationship with a guy.
Right.
Oh, and I told you that Carl was, what did I say, 41 when I met him?
I don't know if you told me that.
Yeah, yeah. In
Okay.
the Discord.
All right. Yep.
Yeah. And see, this is the weirdest thing. Now, you want to talk about coincidence. Tanya Ruffalo was 34, right? And I was 19.
Mhm.
She was basically 14 years older than me.
Right.
No shit. Carl is 14 years older than me.
That's definitely a coincidence. That's yeah.
And see, and it makes perfect sense because I just don't find people my age attractive.
I see.
I don't know. I don't know if you can relate.
I don't judge based on age. I like everybody's everything.
Oh, I'm not judging people by their age, but I was just over my lifetime. I've noticed
Yeah, I
people
mean,
my age.
people have trendy.
Yeah,
Like they trend in
yeah,
certain directions.
right. And it's just they're into these weird things. I'm old school, obviously.
Mhm.
I have an old soul, quote unquote.
An old soul. I feel it.
Yeah, and that's why I'm attracted to older people.
Right.
And I chalked that up to, remember how I told you my dad would always throw house parties?
Mhm.
And so like I would always be surrounded by these older people at these
Right.
parties. Like I wasn't I went to like two house parties that kids my own age threw when I was
Right.
in high school. Other than that, I was hanging out with 20 something year old people all throughout high school.
Mhm.
Like I would not even hang out with high school kids, even though I was friends with the seniors. Outside of school, wasn't even hanging out with them. I was hanging out with 20-something-year-old fucking dudes.
And it sounds pretty eccentric. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, you know why?
Why? Is this a test?
Because well, no, I mean,
Okay.
because my skin stretched, and like I would buy weed from people,
Right. I
and
like
these
weed.
people, yeah, and these people were older, and then I would show them my stretchy skin, and they'd be like, "Dude, you got to come to my fucking house party this weekend," or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, there's been times where they're like, "Stretch, get in the closet. There's some shit going on. Get in the closet, you little stretchy bastard."
Right.
And
What was
so
going on though? Is my question.
like just some beef. Like
Right.
they're gonna fight, but they knew I would educate them about my fragileness. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And not to mention, I'm fucking 15, hanging out with fucking 22-year-old dudes. So
Yep. Yep.
I actually went on a beer run one night, which was totally stupid. I don't even know why they let me do it. And the cops pulled up, and then like at the gas station, and they're like, the older dudes went into the gas station, bought the beer, and came out to the car. And the cops were like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, can you step out of the car? And I'm like, okay. And I was like, had like a little dime bag of weed with me, and I like
Right.
crotched it. I crotched it, like,
What does that mean exactly? You crotched it.
like I put the little bag of weed in between my legs,
Right. Right.
in the spot, and they patted me down, and they're like, "So have you been drinking at all tonight?" I'm like, "No, I haven't." And they're like, "Well, uh, you know, if you have been, this isn't gonna end well or whatever." And
Mhm.
they gave me a breathalyzer, and of course I was fucking drinking,
Right. I mean, I
and
would I would assume you were.
and I blew through it, but I didn't make it. I didn't make the breathalyzer do like the kazoo noise because I didn't even. That was the first time I ever did a breathalyzer in my life. I didn't even know it did that noise. But like
I've never done one, so
yeah, so like I blew through it, but I didn't blow through it hard enough to make that noise. And and they're like, they after I was done blowing, they're like, "So are you sure you haven't been drinking?" Like they were looking at the test result, and
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see it, and I was like, "Yeah, no, sir, I haven't been drinking at all." And they're like, "All right, you guys can go." I'm not even making that up.
I guess you
And
won. You passed the test.
yeah, so then I get back to the house party, and everybody's like, "Dude, you stretched your blood alcohol level out, man. What the fuck?"
That's good stuff.
Like a fucking legend.
Hopefully the cops didn't get word
Yeah,
of that.
no, no. But like I said, I crashed my car a couple times when I was drinking and driving, and I ran away each time and never got any trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you didn't accidentally kill anybody as well, because that would have been probably
Yeah,
bad news.
yeah, you and me both.
Yeah, yeah. And also potentially some other random person that could have been killed as well. They're probably lucky for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for me?
All right, well, yeah, I guess no.
All right.
um, I don't know how much time you have. Okay, see, like for
I
me,
I don't care.
okay, good. I'm free all night, kind of.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I mean, I could keep going. No, I'm just no, that's pretty much it. I'll save some details for the next time we. All
Okay.
right, so anyway, well, just go ahead and just tell me about yourself. You don't have to get as crazy as I got. I mean, I
Uh, I like video games. I make YouTube videos. That about sums it up. I'm only 23 as well. Crucial context. So I don't have like the multi arc life story that you seem to have. Um, but
no. When
yeah,
I was 23, that was when the first time I lived on my own.
I don't live by on my own. I did for a few months. It's not fun, but there's some other context behind that. Um, yeah, like, do you have any questions? I'm not necessarily good at describing my life story unless you ask me things. Like, do you have
All
any
right,
specific info you are interested in?
I got my driver's license when I was 18. When did you get your driver's license?
I don't know how to drive.
Wow. So you
Yeah,
still
still do not.
do you live in a city or something? Where
I
like
used to, but I don't anymore. I moved somewhat recently.
what state do you live in?
I live in North Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I
I
got
used to
family.
live in Washington, D.C.
I got family. I've been there a couple times.
Fun.
Riley.
That's on the opposite side as myself. I'm in the
Yeah.
Northeast.
Okay.
Mm,
Cool.
yeah.
How long have you been making YouTube videos?
I've been making YouTube videos since I was about 15. So a while.
What possessed you to make YouTube videos?
Uh, I like video games, so I became a Let's Player. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term.
Okay.
And I decided to branch off from there.
Do you do Twitch at all?
I used to, way back in the day. Way back.
Yeah, funny story. I came up to visit my mom a couple years ago, and I watched Mario Maker YouTube videos on,
Right?
and I turned one on at my mom's house, and I was watching it on her TV, and she's like, "Why would you watch somebody else play a video game?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. It's like, why does anybody watch people play basketball or football? I mean, they're
Yeah.
all playing the game."
That's a good retort. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
and and I ended up leaving. And then a couple weeks later, my sister calls me up because my sister lives by my mom and I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, Chris, I don't know what the fuck you did, but mom keeps watching these Mario Maker videos on YouTube.
Oh
She's
my god.
addicted. So,
You got her.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And then the next time I came up a couple months later, I showed her about Twitch. And oh
All
my God.
downhill from there.
No, basically. She's for sure. And I don't even watch. Like, God forbid fucking Carl come home from work and I'm sitting there watching some dude play a video game. Get out of town. No.
You should tell her to subscribe to me. I don't know if you realize this, but I upload video game videos. Maybe your mother would be a fan of
Oh,
them. I'm very good at the games I play. I'm a professional. I've played them before.
do you do Mario Maker?
I don't do Mario Maker.
Do you do Dark Souls?
Yes, I have.
Alright, 'cause those are seems like the only two games she really watches. But I'll run it.
All right, you
So
let her know, and then let me know if she like shit talks my video. Tell her I'll go beat her up. Yeah.
yeah. So Andrea,
Yo, what's
so you
poppin'?
said you're so you said you're a trans. Like, can you specify on that? I mean, like, did you like just did you go with the surgery and you got your part removed, or you
Can you define what the does? Like, what does the mean in this sentence?
like you're I guess a guy, but you identify as a female?
What does that mean? Define guy? What does that mean?
Like you were born a male, but now you identify as a female,
Sure.
but you still have the parts of a male.
Define parts. I've got all kinds of parts.
A penis.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that it?
Thank you for sharing that with me. No,
Yeah,
I
no
mean, like,
problem.
it takes a lot of courage. I know this. I know it does.
Sure.
I don't. I'm not taking. I'm not being flippant.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any
So
questions about this? You seem to be rather uneducated, needless to say.
oh, I'm super uneducated. Like I
Okay.
told you, you are probably the first person I've ever talked to. Like, yeah, sure, I'd see transgendered people at the gay bar,
Mm-hmm.
but you can never have like an intelligent conversation oh, at a gay bar,
I'm
on
sure of
such a
it.
time. You're just there to have fun. Let them do whatever. But so at what age? And by all means, just stop me. I mean, like I'm trying. It comes from a place of respect.
All
I'm
right.
not here.
Yep.
I'm not here to do anything except for learn.
Yeah.
And so, at what age did this transformation happen, or like,
Did you finish that sentence? You cut out?
yeah, no, that's how I finished it.
Okay. Uh, define transformation. Define that.
When you found out you're really a woman.
When I found out, I don't know, 5 years old? But I didn't do anything about it until I was about 21?
Really?
Yep.
So, um, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna be,
Yeah, ask your questions. No preamble
do,
necessary.
do you think, do you think there is a heaven?
No.
Do you think there's an afterlife?
Nope.
You know why I asked that?
Why do you ask that?
Because I was just wondering if you think if there was a heaven, would you be a male or a female in heaven?
I don't know what those words mean. In an ethereal afterlife context, what could that, like, what does that mean? Like, if you believe in a soul and the soul is separate from the body, and if you believe body parts that, like, dictate certain, like, genders, I mean, like, at that point, what is a soul? Gender, what is that? Like,
Right. And like I told you, like I'm a spiritual person. I mean, I'm not like a Bible thumper by no means.
yep.
I just wonder if the thought ever crossed your mind.
No. The thought crosses my mind, and then I don't understand what they mean, and no one can ever answer these questions, so I don't know where to go from there.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
And so, do you find men attractive or female, like
Both.
sexually?
Both.
You know what? You know, it's always been a sticking point with me and Carl. Is
What?
that
What's the sticking point?
is that I'm not into anal sex at all.
Like, in which fashion?
In me doing him or him doing me.
Right? Okay.
And like I don't know if that's like, well, you're not really gay if you don't like to do butt stuff. You know what I mean?
I think trying to define sexualities or genders in strict contexts is just kind of a fool's game.
Yeah, I
Everyone's got their
agree.
own definition of everything, and I don't think that invalidates any other definitions.
But like, so this is me. Like, I find females sexually attractive. Like, I like tits.
Sure.
You know, but like males, I don't really find they don't turn me on. Okay, sorry. Okay, like but does that mean that I'm not gay? Because looking at some dude with a banging body doesn't turn me on. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, so you're in a gay relationship.
Correct.
So what about your partner makes you want to be in a gay relationship? If not, them turning you on in some capacity?
Well, it's the companionship.
Like, do they know you're not attracted to men?
It's it's not like they know that I'm not attracted to men sexually, but physically. It it all breaks down to the whole thing where I don't like people my own age, and since I had such bizarre life experiences with females, I've just come to the point of knowing that I like to figure. I don't know if you know this about me, but I like to figure things out in my life.
Sure.
Okay, okay. I like to figure out how a light bulb fucking works.
Mm-hmm.
Just for example, women I cannot figure out. Just for the life of me, like my
What does that mean?
mind is that if I can't figure something out, it's frustrating.
Well, what can't you figure out?
Women,
What does that mean?
I don't know how their minds work. Like they like weird things or something. Or does that make sense to you? Like they just they'll fight about the trivialist stuff. And I just don't. That's the whole thing. Okay, is why I was single for so long because I kept trying to find women, but like a lot of the women had kids or something, or they had drinking problems. Because obviously I was meeting women in bars, so
Right,
like
right.
hell, yeah. So I was probably not really giving women a really good chance.
Mm-hmm.
But And I don't know if this matters, but my dad was fucking married and divorced 3 times.
I'm sure that plays some sort of part in there.
So I just I don't know. Like women are just like an enigma, wrapped up in a riddle or whatever, they
Something like
say, right?
that.
So and I'm old school. Okay, like I don't like to argue with women.
I like to argue with
I'll
everybody.
I mean I'll argue with a man till the sun sets. But for some, I'm just like women should just and call me old fashioned and call me an asshole. But I don't know. I just don't think women should be arguing with the fucking guy about trivial shit. Like
Define trivial.
I don't know. My definition of trivial is your definition. I assure you. Like,
Oh, I
damn, why
don't.
is every
I
like
don't
what
know
I'm
if I
saying
have a definition. Is my thing.
is why does everything got to be a fucking art or a
What is
debate?
everything?
Yeah, everything is everything. Like that's the one thing. Like when I was with that 18-year-old chick that I cheated on all the time. Like every fucking idea that I had, she had to fucking have the opposite opinion. It's almost like, did you really?
So okay,
You just
let me ask a question. So how many female partners have you been with? Three?
like sex, okay, like a real relationship.
Yes.
I guess two.
Okay. So you've had two relationships, and at that point you just like, I don't get it, and you just kind of walk away, and that's over.
No, well, to be honest, Tanya, she was older than me,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like an old school chick. So she wouldn't argue or all the time about
Right.
everything. You know what I mean? Whereas the chicks that were my age seemed like they were empowered or something. They got to stick up their ass. Just like what the fuck, So that's why I told you that I was attracted to older people is
Right.
because they were more on my wavelength, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, like just these new women coming with all their, like for real, Hitler fucked up everything, you know,
All right.
because
Okay. You're gonna have to
let me
start from
explain.
scratch here.
Let me explain.
Okay.
He fucked up everything. Okay, he fucked up. Okay, first of all, he turned Israel and the Jews into evil things. Before Hitler, everybody in the Middle East got along with Jews. Did you know this?
Sure. Yeah.
All the Muslims and Jews, they lived together in peace and harmony. And then Hitler fucking rolled into the Middle East and was like, Jews are the ones causing all the problems, you know? And Hitler turned everybody against the Jews. And, okay, so that's one thing that Hitler fucked up. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then because he wanted this stupid ass World War thing, all the American soldiers were fucking men, obviously, and nobody worked in the factory, so women had to start working in the factory. And so
Right.
then, so then women started working, and then they found out, oh, you know,
Okay. So let me see if I follow the through line here. So Hitler caused a world war because he hated Jews, and that led to men being drafted, which led to women being in factories, which led them to feel empowered, and that's a bad thing.
which led them into feeling like they didn't need a man.
So, but like, what does that mean? I don't like.
It,
You don't need a man.
right. And it's because men are hard and women are soft. I don't know if you ever know. like men are muscles and they're hard. Women are more tender and soft.
Okay.
And men biologically they want to be the hunters, and they want to bring home the food and support the family. And
Okay.
women naturally want to stay home and raise the kids by nature,
Sure.
and so what we're doing is we're fighting against nature when we allow women in. And everything we're witnessing right now is just a domino effect from fucking World War II. Is
Okay,
that
so okay. Now we're getting interesting. This is a fun conversation.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. And I've thought about this, so and and so now women are going in the workforce and they're working with men, and men, God forbid, are being men, and they were hitting on women and the workforce, and now all of a sudden it's sexual harassment, and it's just turning everything upside down.
but this is all Hitler's fault?
Oh, exactly, because before Hitler, men had the job and women stayed home and worked. And how many? What do you know the suicide rate of women staying at home raising their children? Do you
I
know what the suicide rate was back then?
No, I don't.
But could you imagine it being pretty low?
Honestly, I haven't thought about it. I'd have to consider a lot of social issues of the time and maybe look at data. I don't know. I have no idea. I would imagine
Right.
not being able to vote and living in poverty might drive people to suicide, but
Right. But women weren't killing themselves in any sort of, you know, amazing number.
well, do
So
we
now
have
that we've
data that says that? Was anyone tracking suicides by gender in the
I
1850s or
No, I could pretty much assure you that women, yeah, sure, they might have been in a abusive relationship, but they weren't killing themselves. And so what I'm saying is, now that we've flipped everything upside down, where men don't feel as needed, now all of a sudden the men are killing themselves in in high at high rates because the women don't need a man. You know what I mean? And it's making men feel less needed, and it's like biologically men have to have that feeling where they're needed, whereas like women can kind of, actually there was a study that showed that women that were career women, they were making $100,000 a year, were more depressed than women that stayed at home raising their children.
okay?
That's pretty cool. That's kind of a far out thing to learn.
I mean, I'd love to see crosstabs for that data, but so let me try to synthesize this a little bit. So, Hitler caused World War II, and that made men go overseas. Now, does Japan have any responsibility for this?
Well, no, because if Hitler wouldn't have done his stupid shit, Japan probably wouldn't have done their stupid.
Right?
Like Hitler
Okay.
and Japan were kind of, allies.
Right. Okay. So it's
And
okay.
that's one thing too. Like I'm a huge student of history, by the way. Like I'm fascinated by history.
Mhm. Okay, so Hitler makes a war and that causes men to go to war and women automatically start working in factories. Um and because of that women realize, "Oh shit, I don't need no man." And then now men are killing themselves because women don't need them. Am I understanding that?
Yeah, well, also the because of the welfare state that the government provides,
Right?
it almost encourages. men to leave the woman to raise a kid by themselves because the government then gives the female the money that they would ordinarily get from the guy. So the government has replaced the guy in the relationship.
Now, do you think that that would only be because women weren't happy in those relationships and that welfare state, as you call it, gives them a way to live their lives without being in an abusive situation? Is that a
Well,
possibility, or is that the exception and not the rule?
I think that guys understand that if they leave the woman with their kid, that they will be still taken care of,
Right?
so that they don't feel as bad as leaving. And so now you have all these kids being raised without a father, which
Right?
which is another reason these males are so out of control is because they don't have a father in their life.
Now, how are these males out of control? Like, what does that mean? Like, do you think young, like, men are raping people too much, or just causing generally a ruckus? Like, what what metric are you using for out of control?
The the males in the inner cities and the crime
Ah,
is
okay.
because they don't have a stable family.
Now, would you say that
They're-
poverty is an influence potentially?
well, yeah, and I think shipping our jobs overseas, which is hilarious, is that if you hear a Democrat, it's really funny. They'll say, well, Trump wants to bring these factories back to America from these third world countries, but where are those people in those third world countries going to work if we bring the factories back to America? Like, dude, I swear to God, I heard a Democrat fucking say that. It's twisted.
Okay. So, are you a Republican,
I
or
mean,
do you just like Trump?
I'm more of a Republican than I am of a Democrat. I tell you that.
Okay.
Because first of all, killing babies with abortion on demand, free abortion for any reason
I
is
where does that
is
happen?
the Democrat Party is in favor of anybody just having an abortion.
What
Just
does that mean?
it means that they're evil. I mean,
Well,
because most
but what
most
you okay?
abortion
So you said abortion on demand, free at any time. Like, what state has that law?
every state as far as I know, like if you want to have an abortion and you can't afford it, that doesn't mean that you can't have an abortion.
What about in Georgia? They recently made abortion illegal.
Right.
You
There are a few states, but there's a few states. Most states, if if you have an unwanted pregnancy, no questions asked, just go there and terminate the baby.
do you have proof of that?
I mean, you just said the one state, Georgia, but I mean, like,
Because
I'm,
I know that there are a lot of states that will analyze the situation, and maybe they'll give you an abortion if it's been 7 weeks, but maybe not if it's been somewhere like 25 weeks or something. I know most states are in a gray area. I can't think of a state that has a law where any woman can go in like the day before they give birth and have their baby aborted. I've not heard of that. But
well, New York State says that you can actually have an abortion after the baby has been born. Like, if it was a botched abortion and the baby
right,
survived, you can still kill the baby after.
let me verify this.
Yeah, it's called infanticide.
Right?
And
Because
that
the
kind
way I understand this law that we're talking about is it's not like that. Uh, I've got a little thing up. I'm going to read this real quick. It seems to be in New York that the state will allow an abortion if the mother's health is at risk after 24 weeks. Now, are you saying that like a woman can have birth and then say like, I don't really want the kid anymore, and they'll kill it, or what situation are we discussing here?
Yeah, no, 9 months into the pregnancy, and they want to abort the baby.
Well,
Is it?
what
They'll
is
still perform the abortion.
the the way I read this law is that they'll perform the abortion if the mother's life is at risk. Hello?
Well, I don't exactly know where you're getting your information from, but I'm telling you that
If you can find me a link and we can just check that later, we'll put a pin in that and we'll come back to that if you want to send me a link or something. I'll read it over. I'm just looking out of the first result on Google, so I'm not doing my due diligence right now, but I can do over the next bit.
yeah. Well, anyway, long story short, I'm not really cool with the whole abortion idea. Like I know like women are like, "Oh, it's a woman's right." And like think about, and this is one thing that I bring up to men that are like pro-choice. I say to them, I say, "Well, put yourself in this position. Would as a man, would you be okay with performing the abortion on your own child?" And 90% of men say, "No, I would not perform the abortion on my own child." And because that's basically putting yourself in the female's position, is that they're essentially performing the abortion on themselves. That's what women do.
Right?
And I think that helps men understand the severity of such a decision. You know, it's like, well, you wouldn't perform the abortion, so why do you think it's okay if a woman, you know, like if you think it's twisted for you to perform the abortion on your own baby, then is it not twisted for the female to have the abortion done to her own self?
I just there's so many terms that aren't defined here that I would highly prefer be defined. Like again, really the only time I care about abortion is if the mother's life is at risk. I think if, say, having a child would endanger the mother's health or kill them, which has happened. That's a relatively common thing up until a few hundred years ago. But I mean, if that's the situation, I don't have a problem with abortions. But are you saying you don't care about them, like, or
No,
that
I'm
you
saying,
think that's
and
bad
that's
all
the
the time,
no,
or
no, no. In that situation, obviously, yeah, have the abortion if it's going to kill you
right?
to
Yeah.
have the baby. But it's like, and then they're like, oh, if it's rape, you can have the abortion. It's like, well, I want you to file rape charges. Is this too much to ask? So if you're going to have a free abortion, can you, and you say you were raped, can you prove that you were raped? Like, did you file a police report? Was
Well,
there an
are you sure? Are you
investigation?
sure that people don't do this, or are you just telling me what you would like, not like as if it's an improvement of the system? Because I'm pretty sure that is how it works.
Right. See, I don't know.
Like
I'll be honest.
I'm not entirely sure either, but I mean, I can read
Right.
up on it.
Yeah. It's just because, like, yeah, sure, any woman could just go in, 3 months pregnant and say I was raped, and abort the baby. It's like, but do they actually really, if you were raped, like, because a lot of times, I guess, like, women that have a one night stand, they get, I don't even know, man. Like, basically, one night stands are weird. I don't know if you ever had one,
I
but
have never had one.
yeah, it's just so weird. Like I don't know. I've probably had like four or something, and just meeting a chick at a bar and bringing her home and having sex. I mean, like it's so bizarre for me, but for other people, it's like an every weekend activity. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
sounds weird, but
Yeah.
I don't know what that has to do with abortion.
Right. Well, it's just the way that I don't know, kind of cheapen sex or something, as a
Do you
society.
think it should be more important?
Yeah, I think people, obviously, when you go out drinking at a bar, you're not going to make rational decisions.
Sure.
And, there's like a part of me that thinks that women shouldn't even be allowed at bars, or there should be like women only bars, because when you mix men and women in a bar, you're going to get fights. There's all these problems. You know what I mean? Is, but God forbid you tell women they can't go to a bar where guys are, and I don't even know how many guys would want to go to a bar if there wasn't women. How much of an influence is that?
I mean, that
So
seems like the only reason to go to a bar. I'd rather drink at home if that weren't allowed. But that's just me.
I know it's totally a bizarre, like you said, idea, and I'm gonna have bizarre ideas, but that doesn't mean that my ideas are right, and I know my ideas aren't right
It's just we're talking about
necessarily.
ideas here. There's no such thing as a wrong idea. If you try to put something stupid into action, then we can have a conversation. But no such thing as a wrong idea.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the really cool things about you, Andrea, is that you are so young, and you're so willing to like hear somebody like me who's you know 14 years older than you. No, I'm just kidding.
Are you? You said you're
No,
36.
no. Am I don't know.
Are you?
I'm 13 years older.
Yeah, that's close. When's your birthday?
That's close. See, now you're talking my wavelength.
There you go.
See, because also this is one of the crazy things too that I noticed, Andrea, is that technology has advanced so quickly
Yeah.
that it's changed the way people communicate and interact with each other. So this is one of the problems that I noticed is that the wisdom of the previous generation to the next generation is not valuable as much because of the advancement in technology has changed so much
Mm-hmm.
in the time when I was a kid. You know what I mean?
Right?
Have you ever thought about that?
Uh, sure. I mean, it gives anyone of any age the ability to talk to anyone also of any age, and typically people congregate with people that are most similar to them, of which they would be probably very similar ages. So I'd say that I would reckon that there's probably maybe less intergenerational mingling, but at the same time, I mean, the ability to talk to anybody also opens up that avenue. So I mean, I'd have to look into it more, but sounds like it could go either way.
But mostly what I was saying is that the wisdom that I have, and I could teach you the wisdom that I know to you,
Yeah.
but it would be totally not, it wouldn't be useful for you because when I was your age, technology was so different that we interacted so differently as people
Mm-hmm.
that today it cheapens my wisdom.
So you're saying he's got a raw deal?
I'm not saying I got a raw deal, but what I'm saying is to pass down knowledge and wisdom to the next generation because of the advancement in technology has been so quickly that it's made my wisdom useless.
Yes. Like we're just kind of in untreaded waters at this moment?
Right. And so I could give you life advice that wouldn't even help you.
Yeah, I
10 years,
bet.
yeah, 20 years ago, it would have helped you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's interesting. I mean, I think just watching the evolution of technology bring us all together as a species, I think that's pretty cool. But it also muddies the waters a lot.
Right, because remember when I told you I was 15 hanging out with 20-something-year-old people?
Yep.
Like, they were sharing wisdom with me, and their wisdom was still sort of valuable at
Mhm.
that point because not too much had changed. Well, from the time when I turned 24 and then I was trying to talk to a 15-year-old kid, my wisdom was garbage.
Yeah, I feel like that too with people younger than me. I don't get them.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, anyone under the age of 20, I can't have a conversation with.
Yeah, I know. And it was really weird. This one time I was fucking 30 years old or something. And I told this fucking kid, he was like 15. I was like, dude, come back and hang out with me. And and Carl's like, why did you tell that 15-year-old kid to come? I was like, dude, he's just like me, you know. And then and and when he came back to our house later to hang out, it was the most awkward shit.
So, would you
You know,
say it
it,
potentially could have been awkward because you're 30 years old and double his age? Or?
well, yeah, but that's how I learned from hanging out with people. You know, like I was 15 hanging out with older people. I
Uh-huh.
didn't give a fuck. I didn't care how much older they were. But it was basically that fucking show To Catch a Predator
Right?
fucked up everybody because everybody thinks now that that show came out, oh, every older person's a fucking pedophile. They're gonna hang out with my kid. They're gonna, you know what I mean? That fucking show To Catch a Predator fucked up America almost as bad as Hitler, man. Well, because it made the parents afraid to have their kids hang out with older people and learn knowledge and wisdom from them.
I can see that, yeah.
You know, and it made older people afraid to hang out with younger people to share knowledge and wisdom with them. So they weren't willing to do it, you know, and it broke down that fucking chain where it's like normal, cool dudes wanted to fucking hang out with a fucking 15-year-old kid because he wanted to fucking teach him how to wrench on a fucking motor or whatever, you know?
I You do have a point. You do have a point.
You know, and I don't know, man. You know, I'm just trying to figure out my place in this world, and I appreciate you talking to me tonight,
Mhm.
Andrew. You know, like, and I hope you're kind of, you know, learning some stuff. And is that the whole thing is that in a conversation like me and you are having right now, is that we also can learn something about ourselves too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's why I like having these random ass conversations with literally anybody.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, out of curiosity, how many times have you done this with people?
Uh, I mean, hundreds probably. But
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Would you mind if I said that I'm kind of jealous?
You can say whatever you like.
Man, that is
That's the main thing about being a YouTuber is you get to talk to a lot of people.
right. And like I told you, like I was stuck talking to people at the bars, you know, like I'm old school, you know, or
Mhm.
face to face, and you know, I feel like we're being as real as we would if we were face to face, you know, and like even maybe if you talk to somebody like we're talking, you could even be more real in a sense because you're not worried about getting punched in the face.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that.
You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thanks again for, showing me this new technology and this, you know, showing me that I can communicate with people like this. I just thought we were gonna do like a texting thing back and forth.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
how stupid I was.
yeah, I was under the impression you knew what you were getting into. Um, but this makes it more fun, I think, in a way.
Oh, definitely. Oh, of
So yeah,
course.
if if I can just round this back up and ask more questions about your initial comment, were you aware that I was trans when you wrote your comment about how straight white males are becoming trans to be victims?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's cool. Because seriously, I think that like straight white males are being demonized for like everything. It's like all of a sudden they were slave owners. It's like what the fuck? I never owned a slave.
What
Like
makes you think that? What leads you to that conclusion?
well, because like especially the whole Black Lives Matter movement thing that came out.
Yeah. What about them?
I mean, that's just like black supremacy or something. Like
What about that is supremacist? Like the
is
whole
because
mantra is that Black Lives Matter, not that Black Lives Matter more, but the whole idea behind that is to like showcase that they've got less rights in a lot of instances in a lot of areas and they're treated differently and that you should probably think about their lives in contrast with other people's lives and try to equalize them. I'm not aware of any supremacy, but if you can enlighten me.
yeah, no, it's fine. No, it's basically like they they try to act like somehow they're a victim of something. Like
Well, do
the
you know
one
how Black Lives Matter started? Are you aware of the origins?
uh the totally bullshit fucking hands up don't shoot thing.
Are you
Yeah,
saying totally bullshit as in one
yeah.
instance, like the spark of it all, or just in general, like it's not a trend in any capacity?
In Ferguson or whatever, the dude robbed a liquor store and then struggled with a cop in the cop car, got the cop's gun and shot the cop or something, or the cop shot him. But I'm just saying that the whole the whole thing is that if black, I just it makes white people feel like they're every white person's a racist or something. It's like how the fuck is every white
Why?
person
Why do you?
racist?
So okay, let me get this straight. So someone struggles with a police officer and gets shot and killed, and that sparks a movement of which there's other reasons why the movement sparked, but that's say the straw that broke the camel's back. So, but there is a myriad of different instances that we can examine here. But so, and their mantra is that people should just treat black people more respectfully, especially people in authority, and that translates into like you think that black people deserve to be treated more carefully. Is that like your claim that because people would treat black people more carefully and maybe walk on eggshells around them, that it in turn makes them more? It in turn makes that a supremacist thing? Is that the line here?
Well, one of the first things that bothers me is that white people aren't allowed to say the N word
Okay.
ever in any situation. Like there could not be a black person in the room and white people can't say the N word.
Why do you want
I
to say the N
under
word? What is.
I understood this from a very young age that my freedom of speech is being fucked with, and somehow this is okay.
Well, okay,
And
here's
like
my
this,
question.
but ain't nobody telling a black person what they can't say. And see, so it's a slippery slope. You know
Well,
what I
okay,
mean?
let me there's a lot to unpack here. So, are you saying that like do you have like a an undying urge to say the n-word? Is this like is this on your bucket list or something? Like what let me like why do you feel compelled it? Because you're not say allowed to say the n-word that's some like what leads you to that conclusion is my question.
Right. Is why am I not allowed as a white person to say a word, but
Well, now
somebody else is allowed to say it? I don't think there's fairness there.
let me counterpoint with so what do you think freedom of speech means? Can you define that for me?
You're free to say whatever you want to say by
So
law.
do you think that freedom of speech should be freedom of consequences?
I don't want to see. Check this out. So what you're trying to get me to do is to say that somehow, if I call a black person the N word, God forbid I say it, in front of his face, in any context, like I could just say, "Hey, what's up, N word?" Like friendly. That all of a sudden gives him the right to kick my ass.
I'm not saying that violence should be used. I'm just saying
Right.
consequence.
Well, what? And that's what I mean is that by law, I'm not going to go to jail, or I'm not going to get a fine for calling a black person the N word. But at the same time, if I call a black person the N word and they kick my ass because I called them the N word, that's all I did. Does that mean that that black dude gets away with kicking my ass
Well,
because I
does it?
harassed him?
I don't. Is this like a thing? Because I'm unaware.
Right. So is that considered harassment if you just call a black person an?
I don't know.
But
I don't know what the legal
does that
statutes are.
right? Because a lot of times black people will get so offended if you call them the N word, they'll just beat you up.
Is that scientific?
I don't know if it's scientific, but I'm just saying, like, they'll use that as a trigger for them to get so angry. And that's one thing that I try to teach black people is not to let anybody control their emotions with
Well,
using a word.
let's round the scope back from physical violence to just simply consequences. Like say you do that and then they choose to not like you. Is that do you think that that makes your freedom of speech more suppressed? Like what is the limit physical violence or is the limit more ethereal? Is my question.
I think it's the physical violence thing.
Okay.
Because I actually was mugged by two black people and they stole my wallet and cell phone,
Mhm.
you know.
Now, do you think that they mugged you because they were black or that that was just a coincidence?
I don't know, but I'm not gonna sit here and hate every black person because two black people fucking mugged me.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
tell you
All right.
that. Okay.
I'm just wondering what
Yeah.
the yeah.
I just letting you know.
Okay. So
That could happen.
yeah. So you think you're free? So as a white person, you think you have less freedom of speech than a black person?
Correct.
And is that only because of the N word, or is that because of like the N word, Black Lives Matter, and other things? Like, do you have like
Well, I think it was a chipping away at our freedom of any kind of our freedom. It was a chipping away of it. Is
okay?
that you can say it and see I wouldn't be so bothered about it if black people weren't calling themselves the n-word left and right. If they treated the n-word as with as much respect as the white people do, I'd be cool. But it's like, man, have you ever hung out with black people? It's fucking n-word this, n-word that, everything's a fucking n-word. It's just ridiculous. Have you?
I mean, I can't say that my experience is too similar. But maybe that's just the kind of people I talk to. I mean, I've spoken with many black people that don't do that, but
I know.
I mean, I don't know. It
Yeah.
could be
So
my
I mean,
presence as a white person that compels them to do that. It could just be that they don't do that naturally, but black people aren't a monolith, so
right. So Andrea,
what's up?
let's not get too far off of base here.
All right, let's go back to the base.
Are- So you're transsexual, transgender, transvestite. What's going
Do
on
you know what the definitions of those words are?
here? I vaguely don't, and that's why I brought it up. But um, I want to learn.
Yeah, sure.
What's the deal here?
I used to be a man, and I am no longer. That's the basic deal. Like, what exactly do you want to know?
Is because I always thought women have it harder in America. So, what compels you to add this challenge to your life?
I mean, you could say it's also not only the challenge of being a woman, but the challenge of being a transgender person as well. So I'm extra. I'm double dipping in in the victimization here. Um, but it's less of a compulsion that is identifiable and more of just an innate feeling of self. You know, like like if I were to ask you, for example, you said you have the whole stretchy skin thing, right? Like it's
Yep.
like if I asked you why you have stretchy skin, it's like you just do. It's like
Which would be a better question is for you to ask me, why do I choose to show people my stretchy skin? Which would be a better question.
that could be a better question. I don't necessarily choose to show people my transness, but I don't. It's not like an active choice, but
Which I tapped onto this because by all means, I look like a normal human being.
sure.
Until I pull on my skin, people know that I'm different.
Yeah.
I could have theoretically lived my whole life without anybody knowing that my skin stretched.
Well, here's the thing. Now let's imagine that your stretchy skin, like let's imagine, say your disease is slightly different, and in order to get
It's a
blood
syndrome.
flow,
It's a syndrome, not a disease.
okay, syndrome, my apologies,
Okay.
but let's say your
Yeah.
syndrome is slightly different or whatever, and in order to get enough blood flowing through your veins, you need to stretch your skin on a certain, schedule. I would say that's a more of an akin comparison in the sense that, like, throughout your daily life, your brain is telling you you need to do this certain thing. So, like, it's not necessarily a choice at that point. Does that make sense?
I suppose.
Go, like,
Okay.
yeah, like, say you have to do this thing. Is it worth the pain and uncomfort and discomfort to purposefully try not to do that just to blend in, or would you rather just do what you have to do? It's not like it hurts anybody, right? You're just like giving yourself a quick stretch. Like, would you rather just do that, even if it means you look a little weird sometimes to certain people, just so that you're comfortable being who you are?
And that was exactly what I was waiting for you to say.
What?
Is is because why the fuck would I stretch my skin and twist my arm around and in school? Like usually aren't those the people that are made fun of for being a freak?
It depends on where you're at, but I would say typically, perhaps.
So why was I not concerned about being called a freak?
I don't know. Maybe that's just who you are. You're A more, say, potentially optimistic individual, something like that.
Because nobody ever made fun of me. I'll tell you that right now. Nobody ever fucking picked on me. Oh, you're the stretchy little freak dude. Go away.
Mm-hmm.
That never happened. That never happened in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I took that chance of wow. You know what? I was so young, I didn't even think of it. I was just like, dude, check out this, man. My skin stretches. This is totally neat.
Yeah.
And it never crossed my mind that people would actually pick on me and make fun of me. And that's also why, like, I always have a problem with people that say like they they made fun of me because I was different. I was a freak. They picked on me for being different,
Right?
and I made an entire life out of being different, and it worked for me.
It worked
So
for you,
like,
yeah?
is that what you're saying? Like the charisma or something, or you know?
It could just be the people you're interacting with happen to not be super nefarious and you had a certain charm to you that led them to like you, but I mean not everyone's got that particular set of instances, you know? Like
You
for
know,
example,
and that's
I get death threats on an essentially a daily basis at this point. I get hundreds of messages a day, and I would say a solid 25% of them are people that are just trying to make my life miserable. Uh so I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
yeah, I mean I got a wide net though, you know, like I'm a YouTube person. So like it could just be that you had a very lucky pond that you were fishing in as far as being who you are. Um, but not everyone is in that particular situation.
Right. And that's also one of the reasons that why I want to talk to
Yeah.
you, is because I've been different my whole life. I've been different than everybody else. My mom has the
Mhm.
same syndrome than me, and her fucking back is twisted, and I'm up here at my mom's house, far from my home, taking care of her right now
Mhm.
for a month, while my boyfriend is back at home,
Mhm.
waiting for me to come home. You know, like we all got to make sacrifices, but what I'm saying is like I'm like you in a way where I'm different, but like I get I guess I get to choose who I show my difference to. You know what
Right?
I mean? Like whereas as you sound like um you understand that you being born a male and then being a female, it's slightly different than me because I was born with the stretching skin. Like this has been my shit. You know what I mean?
Well, the key difference here is that you're implying that there's some sort of choice. Um, whereas like I can choose to transition, but I can't choose to want to transition. So in the same way as you, I was born with something about me that's different than most people. The only difference is I have to act upon it in order to remedy that difference. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So are you planning on someday doing the operation?
I don't know what the operation is. There's multiple operations I could do on multiple parts of my body. Which one is the?
The penis thing.
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not.
What does your family think about this? And I know it's none of my business. And
Half of my family is supportive, and half of them is very unsupportive. It's about, 50-50 down the line.
how far are you willing to go to be different?
I don't really know what that means.
Because I mean, no disrespect. Obviously, I love you. I'm just gonna say,
Thanks.
okay. I want to be the first one to say
All right.
it. All right, I know, and you can tell me you love me too, and it's like a family thing.
Right.
It's not
Right.
like I'm not in love with you.
Right.
I love you.
Right.
There's a difference. I love my dad. I'm not in love with my dad.
I
You see what I'm
understand. Yep.
saying? But is this just a way for you to be different and to get
To get what?
attention?
What kind of attention do you think I get from
Good,
this?
good or bad, it doesn't matter.
I would say
As long
if there's
as
any
long,
attention,
yeah.
it's 95% bad and 5% positive. There's very little positive attention that I gain. And if there's more, I don't see it. I would say if someone's going to mention my transness, there is I would even go as far as to say 99% of the time they're going to call me a freak and tell me to kill myself. I've not dealt with any of this ethereal positive attention. I think that's just kind of a myth.
Okay. And remember, I told you that I indirectly tried to kill myself a couple times.
Sure, yeah.
Have you ever tried to kill yourself?
Probably 5 or 6 good attempts.
Thank you. Thank you for answering that question.
Yeah, no
That
problem.
and like I told you, like I think my openness maybe helped you to be open.
I mean,
Did it?
yeah, sure. I mean, I have no reason not to be open. But, I mean, I appreciate the reciprocity.
What does reciprocity mean?
Um, you doing
I've heard the
something.
word before.
It's like it's reciprocal, another version of that. Like I do
Okay.
something and you do something in return, and vice versa.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no
And
problem.
would you care to describe one of the attempts? I mean, at least two of them. I I
They've
shared
all been alcohol related.
just like me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to drive, so I never did anything that stupid. But I've done some stupid stuff. Like just
When you're blacked out.
basically, yeah. Like I can't necessarily tell you the whole strategies here. I don't really remember most of them, but usually the intent is I'm gonna drink a lot of alcohol and see what happens. Um, that's pretty
Same.
much it.
That's the same thing that happened when.
Yeah, alcohol is fun. It's also dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the double-edged sword.
Mhm.
Well, I appreciate sharing that with me. That
Yeah.
was that was very big of you.
Yeah.
And I just want you to know that I'm aware of the statistics of suicide in the trans community.
Sure.
I've heard that pretty high.
Yeah. I would attribute 99 if not 100% of that to the fact that like I said most of the time if I'm going to get attention, it's going to be negative. Like again, I've got at least 25% of the comments I get on a daily basis are people telling me I should kill myself for being trans. And I've been on YouTube a long time. It doesn't really hurt me anymore. Um, people can say whatever the fuck they want, and I would prefer to have a conversation. Like when you left your comment, I just assumed it was just another guy who's just being very obnoxious to me about being trans. So my whole thing is like I want to know why people believe this kind of stuff. And typically most people don't want to have this conversation with me, and if they do, they'll just hop on and like, call me a tranny fag or something and then hang up. So like, that's just it's just weird that people would rather spit fire and they can't like actually have an intelligent conversation about anything. That's my most of my experience though. But I would say
Right.
that that's
So
the reason why the depression and suicide rates are so high.
right, and that's why you said you had hundreds of conversations with people, and
I mean, not all of them
I was,
revolve around this, but some of them do.
well, but what I want you to know is that why. So you're bisexual.
Sure.
Why? Because being a woman is harder than being a man. Why transition to be something that's harder?
It's just the cards were dealt. I don't know.
Do you
Uh,
think?
yep. What's up?
Do you think you're spitting in the eye of a woman when you decide to be a woman as a man?
I don't
That's
really know
never
what that
crossed your
means.
mind.
What does that mean?
Do you ever think that you're being disrespectful to women? That you think you can be a better woman as a man than they are a woman? Like basically, men are better at everything than a woman. Even men are better at being women than a woman. Has that ever? Look, I'm adding a little levity to the conversation.
No, I don't. I don't really know what that means. I don't
even
know.
even
I don't know.
look, men are better than women at everything, even at being a woman.
That may be true, but I don't care about gender whatsoever. So
All right, so Andrea,
what's up?
thank you so much for talking to me for so long.
Yeah, it's
I
been two
love
hours.
this. I mean, this is I'm learning so much,
Sure.
honestly.
You gotta watch more of my videos. You'll learn some more.
I probably will. Um, I want you to. What is your thoughts on men doing female sports? This is gonna be juicy. I'm gonna love hearing your ideas.
What is a female sport? What does that mean?
Right. Well, basically, like
Are you
the
talking about like
woman.
softball or volleyball?
Yeah, like, do you think that men transitioning into women should be able to play sports
So,
on a female team?
I mean, they
You
are
have to have an
women.
opinion. You have to have an opinion.
I don't like you keep using the terminology of men being women as if like it's like a get up you like put on like a drag queen. I mean, that's just kind of that doesn't really mean anything. Like for example, I'm on medication that changes my hormones and that changes how my body like is structured and how it develops. So, for example, I'm weaker than most people I know. One of the things about hormone therapy is it usually leaves you with less testosterone than cis women have. Cis meaning you were born female and you stay female. Um, well, cis being, you were born the gender and you stay that gender, but cis women. So, for example, I'm weaker than most cis women I know, having been on hormones for 2.5 years. So, I don't like that. Does it's like the formulation that you're dealing with is, in my opinion, that doesn't really exist anywhere. Um, in where like a man, like for all intents and purposes, yesterday they're a man, and then they're like, all right, I'm gonna put on nail polish and then go to the women's basketball league. Like that doesn't really happen. That's not really a thing. 99.9% of these situations are people that have been transitioning for multiple years and people that have even transitioned in their teenage years to the point where they don't even have the whole like, you know, bone density thing or whatever, like that people love to talk about. So I mean, it's a completely nuanced situation. You can't make any broad generalizations. It depends on the person and the person. But as far as sports are concerned, I think it's a little bizarre the way we classify sports by gender. There was this one cisgender woman, so again, born as a female and then is a female, that had naturally no medication, no whatever, just naturally really high testosterone. And they banned her from the women's league because she was too strong and had too much muscle. Again, she wasn't doing any medication. There was like full screenings and tests. So they forced her to do hormone treatment to reduce her testosterone because she naturally had too much testosterone. I think that's a little bizarre. I think measuring
Are
sports.
you talking about the fucking Venus Williams tennis chick, the black chick?
I don't know. I don't think it was tennis. It could have
I was
been.
gonna say, hey, you know that fucking Venus and Serena Williams tennis
I
players,
don't really
the black
follow
chick,
tennis. I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't really follow tennis.
right? Like that really big ass black chick.
Yeah, I mean the whole my whole point is that like dividing it by gender doesn't really mean anything. It there's so many different factors that go into whether or not people, like for example, weight classes. Weight classes make more sense than gender divisions. I'd rather,
All
if
right,
I'm going to fight someone, I'd rather fight a man who's, 180 pounds than a woman who's like 260 pounds. You know what I mean? Like that would just be my preference.
hey Andrew,
What's up?
I'm gonna say something that's gonna blow your mind.
All right.
So these men that are taking hormone pills to become women, and then they play in a female sport while taking these hormone pills or drugs should disqualify them because they're taking hormone drugs and that hormone drugs are not allowed. If you take a hormone drug, you're disqualified from actively participating in the sport. Do you agree with me?
Well, again, the formulation of men taking drugs is just, I don't know, it's a little cringy. But I don't care. I don't care. I think the rules are stupid. I think sports are dumb. I don't really respect the rules whatsoever. So I mean,
But do
I
you
just
think
think
I
it's
got to
silly.
do you think I got to you think I made a good point there?
Not really. I just
Is that
I
if somebody's taking a hormone drug, should they be allowed to participate
It
in a
depends
sport?
what the drug's effects are. If the drug's effects are the fact that they're weaker and they have less advantages, then who cares? It's like, should drinking coffee before doing chess, like if you're doing like a chess tournament, should you be banned from drinking coffee because it makes your brain act quicker and theoretically makes you a little bit of a better chess player? I don't know. Maybe.
I might have got you on that one.
I don't think so. It's a nice little
Got it.
spin, but I don't really care.
We can. Hey, there's nothing wrong with having a disagreement here and there.
Sure.
It's not gonna stop. Oh, dude, I always hate that when somebody gets hung up on one disagreement and they're like, "We can't talk about anything else now because we didn't agree with that one thing."
Yeah, I mean, I think
Welcome to
it's a little
politics.
silly.
Yeah, welcome to politics. Yeah, exactly. So that's one thing, Andrea, that I noticed about your video is that you sort of got political.
I'm very political. Yeah.
And now I know you said something about Bernie Sanders, but well, he's obviously dropped out of the race, but like that's one of the things in my one of the huge things that happened in my life. I was 17 years old when 9/11 happened.
Right?
Okay? And that was a huge deal
Mm-hmm.
for me. For me. That actually changed the course of my entire life,
Sure.
kind of. I got super involved in politics after 9/11 because like I'm like, what the fuck is this world that I'm coming in? Like motherfucking Muslims are crashing their planes into my fucking country.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really funny. We did not have DVR at the time.
Right?
So my friends would come over and hang out with me, and I'd be like, dude, we got to watch the O'Reilly Factor. And
Okay.
after the O'Reilly Factor is over, we can hang out. And so we'd sit there and fucking watch the O'Reilly Factor, and then after it was over, we would hang out. That's that's how crazy 9/11 had an impact on me. And then you know, I'm still involved with politics till this day.
Can I ask who you voted for in every election that you've ever voted?
I guess Bush, fucking Kane, Romney, um, and Trump. Like, I never voted for a fucking Democrat president. I don't,
Okay.
Democrat, they're fucking bullshitters. They promise you the world, free healthcare, free fucking. No, you ain't gonna get nothing for. They're all a bunch of bullshit. If I want to get lied to, I'll fucking talk to my dad.
Well, okay. Now, you're saying Democrats are telling you that you want free health care. What do you mean when you say Democrats?
I'm just saying that Democrats always try to promise you the fucking moon to
What
get
But what
this
Democrats? Like,
to get the stupids to vote for them.
but
It's
what Democrats?
the Democrats never deliver on their promises.
Well, what are you talking about, Barack Obama? Are you talking about every person who's registered Democrat? Are you talking about the like party leaders? Like, what do you mean when you say the Democrats?
Yeah, basically the Democrats are the politicians,
Right.
not like people.
Mhm.
They promise you the moon and deliver you fucking dirt. You know what
What?
I mean?
Okay. Let me be more clear about my question. So, when you say the Democrats, are you saying every single Democratic politician or Democrat politician that's elected? Or are you saying the people that are on TV the most? Like, name like three Democrats.
what I'm trying to tell you, Andrea, is every time a fucking Democrat proposes a solution to a problem, it fixes that problem, but then creates 10 other problems
Can you give me
in
an
its wake.
example?
Basically, Democrats want to give a lot of money to broken homes for men that leave their woman with a baby. And so then what that does is that creates all these problems in the city where all these kids are running rampant because now their solution to fixing the problem of females without a father is now created a bunch of fatherless kids that are running wild.
So, are you saying that an abusive father is better than no father?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's your contention?
Well, is what I'm saying. Look, you told me to give you one example.
Yep.
Okay. I'm just saying that like the Democrats they try to sound like they're gonna fix a problem, but in their solution creates several other problems.
Well, I mean, I can
And
tell
then
you this right now. I mean, I like to be a little coy in these conversations because I would prefer you tell me what you think about things. But the way I see it is, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not in between. I'm way, way, way further to the left than any Democratic politician could even hope or pray. I'm a communist. I don't know what that your personal definition or like feeling about that word is. I know a lot of people get really upset about it. I don't think there's only maybe four Democratic politicians that I would could even consider human beings. I would consider 98.9% of the Democratic Party to be completely corrupt to the core and they're all psychopaths. Now, I think the same of the Republican Party. I don't think there's maybe if you want to find a local state legislator that I'll look at, but like I haven't seen a Republican that I would even classify as a real person. I would say Trump is the closest they've got to a real person, but he's still obviously a psychopath. He's just kind of funny, and he's like witty, and like he's basically a comedian. So I mean, like I don't like when you say the Democrats, right? Like the Democrats promise you things. I just watched an entire primary go by where every single debate you had 10 people that are Democrats and Bernie Sanders, and the 10 people would say, you can't have free health care. You can't do this. It's pie in the sky. It'll never happen. And Bernie Sanders is the only one who supported free health care. So when you say things like the Democrats want to give everyone free health care, I don't see that. There's only one politician that has even advocated for universal health care. It's not necessarily free health care, but there's only one politician in the Democratic Party that has advocated for that in the last 5 years, and any other major Democratic politician would be viciously against that. Like Joe Biden, for example, recently proposed that we should lower the Medicare age to 60, and that was his big concession to the Bernie Sanders supporters that want universal health care. So I mean, and you have Nancy Pelosi, for example, that's specifically when the 2018 Congress got set up, she tried to institute a pay-go rule, which would have made Medicare for all impossible because you'd need to pay as you go, which completely eradicates modern monetary theory and other things, like, for example, that were violated with the corporate bailout that just happened in the coronavirus stimulus package. So, I mean, you also see Hillary Clinton in 2016, who said that universal health care is a myth, it's a pipe dream, it will never happen. So I don't know who you're talking about when you say the Democrats, but I don't see even a remotely similar worldview as far as that's concerned. I think the Democrats are a pile of garbage. I think we would agree on that, but I think our reasoning and the Democrats that we're seeing are completely different.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I don't know if you look. So my boyfriend, gay, all day.
Sure.
I don't know if this. I don't want to speak out of turn, but he told me that he was molested by one of his uncles at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that has anything to do with him being gay.
Okay.
I don't, I don't know the statistics on how many gay people are gay because they were molested, but if I had to guess, I would guess a lot.
Okay.
What do you think about that? Do you agree with that?
I don't
Do
think
you
there's
not
any
know?
correlation.
And there might not be a correlation. Okay, to be honest, there might not be.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he's been a lifelong Democrat his whole life because he's been gay. So the Democrat Party has been the party for the gay dude.
I would probably
I
say
mean,
that because the Republican Party was advocating that gay marriage shouldn't exist, and that George W. Bush tried to make a constitutional amendment making gay citizens second-class citizens, I would say that probably is a big reason. Maybe even, you said he's older than you, so maybe he'll know some more about Ronald Reagan's reign of terror in the gay community, where he pretended that there was no AIDS or HIV outbreak and just completely swept it under the rug because, hey, it only affected the gay people. I would imagine that that probably plays a big role. But I mean, hey, that's just me.
right. So he's had this hang up from a long time ago. And see, I don't understand why gay marriage is a thing. And honestly, they should have called it parriage. Okay? Because they wouldn't have had to fucking steal the word fucking marriage from the Christian. They could have created
What
their
about
own fucking. They
here's
could have
what
created
about
their
free
own
speech though? Where does free
No,
speech
but it's
factor in?
hijacking a religious term.
Is marriage a
Which would.
religious term?
Yeah, exactly.
It
Yeah,
stopped being a religious term when the government started identifying marriage.
it's a it's a Christian based word. And
I'm
that,
very skeptical of that.
well, so if they would have created their own word called parage between two men or two women, a pair, parage, they would have. St- it's only they went with gay marriage because they knew that would piss people off, and I don't understand why gay people would want
Why
to
are you
piss
pissed
people off
off?
because they hijacked the Christian word marriage,
But what about
and
free
they
speech? Why can't I
but
say
what
gay marriage? It means the
because
same thing.
because it's a religious word, and now they're putting a suffix gay marriage. It's like, why couldn't
I don't.
gay people are very creative people. They can invent a new word to describe what they're doing.
The definition of marriage, legally speaking, is a joint partnership in assets, usually. Legally attaching oneself to another person. Legally speaking, and again, I'm not talking about Christianity. I'm skeptical that no one got married more like 2019 years ago. Like 2020 years ago. I forgot what year it was because I'm high. But I imagine that there were people that were getting married in 300 BC. So I don't see why you say it's a Christian word. But just putting that aside, legally speaking, once marriage turned into a legal definition and legal term by the law and the government, at that point it's not no longer a Christian word. So if Christians were wanting to have marriage be so sacred, they wouldn't let the government take control over what marriage means. So I don't, at that point, marriage is marriage. It's the joint partnership of one and another person. So at that point, gay marriage, the gay, you can call something gay marriage if you want, but you can also just call it marriage. Like a gay person getting married to another gay person is gay marriage as much as it is marriage, as much as a woman getting married to a man is a straight marriage. They're all equal, like they all mean the same thing.
Right. How many times do you hear a straight couple say, "We're getting straight married"?
How many times do you hear a gay couple say they're getting gay married?
Well, yeah, all the time.
You hear that all the time?
Well, yeah, they,
You okay, so you've gotten like a postcard in the mail like we're getting gay married, like where do you hear this?
I've been invited to a gay marriage.
Have you thought about the fact that people would call it a gay marriage to specifically filter people out of it that they don't want? Like, for example, if you call something a gay marriage, you'll filter out the people that want to murder you. Like, say, like, not you specifically, but say someone who's, 70 years old, they're a really hardcore Bible thumper, they despise the gay people, right? Like, for example, like maybe they applauded the guy who tried to shoot up an abortion clinic and like they applauded like people that were trying to like murder gay people in protests in the 80s and like stuff like that. So this guy is a Bible thumper. He believes in the sanctity of Christ, and he hears that something's a marriage, and he goes up and it turns out it's a gay marriage, and he doesn't want to be there, and he starts attacking people, maybe not physically but just being a nuisance. Would you say that calling something a gay marriage is specifically to weed those people out, perhaps? Like, oh, if you don't like gay people, if you don't want to be at a gay marriage, then a gay wedding, then don't show up. It's probably more so for that purpose than to rile up the Christians, I would say. But
Yeah.
outside of that specific instance, I've never heard anyone say, "I'm gonna go get gay married." I've heard it as a joke, like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go get gay married." But like, if you actually attend their ceremony, it's not like the person doing the reading of the whatever. Like, it's not like that person is like, "Will you take this to be your gay partner?" It's like, it doesn't really work like that. So I don't really know what you mean, and I am a free speech person. I like free speech. So once the legal definition of marriage came into play and it stopped being a sacred term, I think that's the point of no return. I don't think gay marriage is the point of no return. I think the moment the law stepped in and defined marriage, then it was over.
Nah, the whole point that I was trying to make, and I'm sorry,
Yeah, go on.
is that now that gay marriage is a thing in America, why would a gay man vote for a Democrat? what do they want to get double gay married, twice gay married? You know what I mean? They've kind of lost the gay vote. Does that make sense to you?
It makes sense to me in the narrow scope of me trying to understand what you're saying, but at the same
Right.
time, I would presume that, for example, the United States House in 2019 passed the Equal Rights Act, which just is dead and never got a vote in the Senate. The Equal Rights Act would make sure that being fired for being gay wouldn't be illegal in all 50 states. There are a lot of states where if someone wants to fire you for being gay, they're perfectly within their right to do so, and the same for transgender people. So I would imagine that's one reason why gay people would vote for Democrats, but just as a whole, even though I hate Democrats, Democrats typically do have very slightly better policy than Republicans, and we can debate about that if you want. But I don't know if you don't like. I'm trans. Transgender issues are not my first and foremost thing when it comes to voting. Like, I would vote for someone if they hated transgender people, but if they supported, a Green New Deal, Medicare for all, and to stop wars, I would still vote for them because I care about those things more than I care about someone virtue signaling about whether or not they like me or like my kind, or so to speak. So I would say that maybe these gay people you're talking about have other policy things that they care more about.
So, no. No. Carl, my boyfriend, is not that crazy about other issues. It just seems like he's voted Democrat his whole life, and they made gay marriage a thing, and so now he owes them his vote forever
I,
because they did the one solid for him. But and then I remind him, like, you don't need the Democrat Party anymore. Gay marriage is a thing. You can vote Republican now.
well, what
You,
makes you
you
think
got
that
your wish was granted.
let's expand this conversation a little bit. And why do you think that like voting Republican is some sort of forbidden fruit that like he secretly wants to do it or whatever, but just isn't because of the gay stuff? Like what about like why do you say that?
I think he secretly wants to vote Republican because he makes a lot of money. And
Okay.
he doesn't like to get taxed the fuck out of his ass.
But did Democrats tax people that make that much money out of their asses? Like how much money are we talking about?
Oh, oh yeah. That's all the Democrats do is raise taxes on people that make more than 100,000 a year.
That's
That's
all
like
they
their
do?
little piggy bank. That's like their little piggy bank. And see, that's where I feel like he's conflicted. He's like, yeah, I want to be a Democrat, but they're going to raise my taxes. You know what I mean?
I mean, if I made $100,000 in a year, I wouldn't give a shit if I paid 90% of my income above
No,
100,000.
but even property taxes, not just your paycheck. You know what I mean?
Sure.
There's more taxes than just.
It's possible he doesn't mind. It's possible that he knows that the taxes are going to people who need the money more than him, and that's a thing he's okay with. I'd rather not speculate on some person I don't know's opinions, and I'd rather just have a conversation between you and myself. That way, it's a little bit easier. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know this person, so I can't really speak on behalf of them.
No, I get it. I get it. No, that's good for you.
Yeah.
And, and that's why I was so excited to be able to talk to you. Because I just want a second opinion.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? And you seem like a common sense person. You're not crazy, you know?
Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Who knows? Who's to say?
Maybe I'm crazy, right?
That's possible.
Nah, you're cool. Um, yeah, so, and that's one thing too I want to talk to you. Because maybe you can shed some light on my boyfriend's opinion. Because I've been with him for 9 years, but I still, we never really drill that deep.
If you want me to do
Something.
a couples therapy with y'all and I can be the mediator, I'm down.
Couples therapy.
I'm
You know
down.
what? If anybody would do it, I would want. I'd want. You know what? I'd rather just pay for your plane ticket and you can stay at our house and we can hang out. How about that?
I'm down. Let's do it. As long as you don't kill me, I'm good with it.
No, no, no. I won't kill you. Wow, now that would be exciting.
If you want to pay for it, my motto is if you give me the money, I'll do it. As long as it doesn't harm me in any fashion. If you want to have me fly to some other place in Wisconsin, fuck it, why not? Probably after the coronavirus, but whatever.
So, oh, you said you're in North Carolina. I got family in North Carolina. Maybe, maybe me and Carl could go on a road trip in North Carolina to visit my family, and then we could swing by your place.
Maybe.
So since I've been talking to you for a couple hours, like, how is this conversation going? Like, you said you spoke to hundreds of people, which I don't know. I mean, I guess I spoke to hundreds of people at a bar, and I guess that's normal to me. And you said you spoke to hundreds of people
Well,
over.
you know how Twitch works, right? You do your thing and you have people watch you. I used to do that. I used to get hundreds of people in my stream chat all the time. I'd used to open like a public server. Anyone would come in and like talk. So I mean, that's really the premise here. Is like I just like talking to people. That's why I do. It helps me understand where different people are coming from. Especially if, like you say, you're a Republican, you vote for Trump. You voted for every Republican nominee since 2004, presumably, or 2000. You said you were 17. I don't know if you voted in 2000, but 2004 at least. So I mean, I find that valuable for me because I completely disagree with you. I think that your politics are I think most of the things you've told me are pretty, kind of silly. I just don't understand. I don't get it. Um, but at the same time, I don't care. Like it's just like one thing we just disagree on. I like meeting new people and learning what different people have to say because it helps me understand that, like, maybe the life story that you gave me, like maybe that factors into how you do politics and how you perceive reality and so forth. So, like for example, when you say you dislike the Democrats and I tell you I also dislike the Democrats, and I can give you some common ground and maybe tell you what my disagreements are with them and see if that shapes your disagreements and maybe changes some of your opinions. So I mean, as far as this conversation goes specifically, I mean, this is definitely up there in eccentric people I've talked to for sure, without a doubt. But I mean, it's pretty good.
Awesome. All right, now one thing I want you to know is that when you talk to somebody about politics,
Yep.
from now on, I want you to understand is
Mhm.
it's not, and you're fine. You're fine. What you're doing right now is fine.
Oh yeah.
But I want you to think about this too. I don't know if you ever thought about this, but
Hit me.
it's not it's not your job because you have not been thrusting your opinion on me, and I've not been thrusting my opinion on you. But I want you to think about it like this: is that it's the job of the politician
Oh, I
to
agree.
to convince you to vote for them.
See, I have a different meta
You know what I
analysis.
mean? It's not my job to convince you to vote for Donald Trump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's Donald Trump's job to do.
Mhm. My thing is that, like, I don't necessarily care who you vote for in the grand scheme of things. I don't have too much faith in elections. I think politics being composed of elections first and foremost in the United States is a problem. I'm way more interested in politics, especially during the coronavirus situation, of labor action strikes, stuff like that, like standing up to your boss who's, giving you shitty hours and cutting your health care. Standing up to them, I think, is a more beneficial thing than talking about who to vote for, especially when you live in a completely different area and I don't even know who's your local politicians are. Like if we lived in the same
Yeah,
town, we'd have like a robust conversation about like different, who's the treasury, who's going to be the superintendent, who's going to be the delegate for this campaign, who's going to be like our city council. Like we'd have so much more to talk about. When it comes to just presidential politics, I mean, I find that pretty useless. Like I'm not looking to, like for example, if Joe Biden's the nominee, which it looks like to be the case, I can't in good conscience tell you, yeah, vote for Joe Biden. He's a great guy, because he's not. He's a terrible guy. He's a scumbag, and I hate every little fiber of his being. I think he's awful. But I do think if Joe Biden were president, we'd be in a better situation 2 years from now than if Trump is president. But I mean, at the same time, I can't. I'm not going to argue for you to vote for Joe Biden. I'd rather argue on actual politics and things that make you feel that Trump is the best solution.
right. Yeah, that's really cool. Like,
Yeah.
you're fucking 23.
Yeah.
You're 23 years old. Look, I want you to understand is that you are wise beyond your years.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Okay, I mean, like, I literally think I'm talking to somebody my own age.
That sounds good to
Honestly,
me. Yeah,
honestly.
I don't like kids these days. I just,
And that's what I was saying. Like, you're probably just like me. Like, you don't like people your own age.
I mean, I don't, the people I talk to are typically skew older than me, but it's not a rule. I have friends that are younger. So it's just, whatever.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have a couple friends that I grew up with that I still hang out with or talk once in a while
Hmm.
with, but those are like my childhood
Right, right.
friends. Do you have childhood friends?
Not really.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit. I'm sorry.
Well, it happens.
And that's the one thing. I still talk to my friend Nick. He's a pretty cool dude. He's got a kid. He's got a wife. He went to college and he did all that shit. And it wasn't. But it's just kind of weird how we all go down our different paths. And no path is correct. No path is the perfect path. You know.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Um, like, did you go to college?
No, I dropped out of high school.
Wow, really? I basically dropped out of high school. I in my junior year, I went to a special school that did computer teaching, whatever the fuck. It was like super easy.
Mm-hmm.
Such an asshole.
Yeah, it happens.
But I never really focused that much on education. It I don't know. It was never a big thing in my brain. What about you?
I think the innate connection in our society between education and the school system is problematic. I prefer educating myself outside of the school system.
Right, you can learn on your own terms.
Exactly.
And I've had this thought ever since I was in high school. Well, first of all, I fucking wrote in an English class my freshman year. They said rewrite the Romeo and Juliet story.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, naturally, me being a morbid freak, I fucking embellished the fucking murders.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
um, and I got a D minus in that paper. And my fucking English teacher suggested I see the counselor. And this is before Columbine.
Right.
I'm like, what the fuck? Like Stephen King,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that if I were in their situation, I'd probably just just check up on you. But I don't think there's should be an innate fear of violence, especially in written form. Like if you're, for example, doodling murder scenes on all your test papers, that's one thing. But if you're given the task to write a story, and the story you end up happens to be the story you write ends up having to be like slightly more violent than others. I mean, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. Would I say it's an overreaction? I mean, maybe, but certainly interesting.
Right, and I think to a degree that dumbass English teacher soured on higher education. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, totally.
I brought creativity to the situation and I was penalized.
Yeah, that's my problem with the school system.
Right. Like, art is art. Like,
Exactly.
and not only, and that's awesome that you have a problem with the school system because let me tell you, I think that outside of elementary school, every kid should be homeschooled. Like, with the teacher on the internet, and you got FaceTime with all the other students, all visible at the same time. So you're not feel. See, that's the whole thing, is because the technology was not always there. The internet connection was not always there.
Mm-hmm.
It's there today. It
Right.
is there today. You can see your stupid classmates' faces. You
Mm-hmm.
can see the teacher's face. And then you can learn. Because if you can't see your classmate's face and you can't see your teacher's face, there's a disconnect.
Yep.
And I think with today's technology, a 13-year-old kid can stay at home by himself. The parents don't need to fucking stay at home.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and by the way, that's another thing Hitler fucked up.
Oh, here we go.
Fucking, well, just give me a second.
Yep, go for it.
Is that now both the mother and the father have to work. And granted, China was going to probably do this first, irregardless of Hitler, and America was going to have to follow in China's footsteps. But nevertheless, fuck Hitler, he did it. Now both
Hate that guy.
mom and dad have to go to work to put food on the table. And or live a comfortable life. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, honestly, when I was growing up, we didn't have the nicest shit all the time, like, but both my mom and dad worked, and we still didn't have the nicest shit. So it's like, oh, that's poor Timmy because his mom stays at home and won't get a job. It's just like, I don't fucking, like, I swear to God, I just really hope technology catches up and can figure this out. Like, I don't know if it's robots flipping burgers or whatever the fuck it needs, but one of the parents need to stay home. Fucking
I mean,
teach.
I agree,
In
but the only problem is
a right, in a perfect
yeah,
world.
we live
Are
in
you
a
gonna say I agree?
completely
In a
failed
perfect world,
economy where no one can have like even people like two parents working two jobs each in a lot of cities can't even pay their rent on time. So I mean, that's one of the things, like, as far as politics go, as far as policy goes, this is why I despise the Democrats and the Republicans. I think they both only further the inequality that we have in this country, and that's why I'm a Bernie supporter. Because he's the only politician that's even signaled that he even understands the problem, let alone can even come up with a somewhat reasonable solution for it.
well, that's the thing with Bernie. Yes, amen to you. Bernie has the balls to say what the problem is, but then he fails on his solution. His solution won't fix the problem, but hey, at least he fucking pointed out the problem.
I mean,
So
we can argue on that, but
that's a
maybe
step in
tomorrow.
the right direction. That's a step in the right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the whole issue with politics is it's all corrupt and paid for by big business, and
And,
they all just want to
and I
work for
think
rich people.
and I think that was one of the unique things about Trump was that he was already rich. You know, he did not need this. You know what I mean? Whereas fucking Maxine Waters, this black bitch from California, now all of a sudden is worth fucking $9 million or whatever. You know what I mean? Like these politicians are in office for way too long. Do you agree
Mm-hmm.
with me?
Oh yeah.
It's very simple. Why the? All right. So anyway, we're getting distracted from a better topic. What the fuck were we talking about?
I don't know. It's been very fluid.
I know. Like this is totally like me on the PlayStation Network. So I have to confess, okay.
Right?
When I met Carl, I was 26, right? So anyway, I got the PlayStation 3. I had like a PlayStation 1. I
Mm-hmm.
totally missed the PlayStation 2 generation of video games.
The PlayStation 1 is my favorite console of all time, so we're in a good boat.
And then I totally missed PlayStation 2 completely.
Mm-hmm.
And then I skipped to PlayStation 3. And then I found out that I can fucking communicate with people randomly as fuck on the PlayStation Network, and I became the PlayStation professor.
Oh shit.
That was a awesome time in my life. And to be honest, I'm still the PlayStation professor till this day.
Well, I'd challenge you on that because actually one of my favorite things is playing and collecting PlayStation games. I guarantee you I know more about the PlayStation library than you do, and
Oh, no, no.
I'm willing to put money on that bet.
No, you're talking about a whole different thing.
No, I get
I'm
you. I'm
I'm
just being a little silly.
oh. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you would definitely win that bet.
Oh yeah. Oh
But it was so awesome that I would get on the PlayStation and I would connect to the internet, obviously, and I would talk to these people. And I talked to this 13-year-old kid one night, and I explained to him how humans evolved from apes, or and something cool, you know. And after 4 hours of talking to him, he confessed to me that I taught him more than his father did.
That's interesting.
And that shit, I'll never forget him saying. And that meant so much. Is that I can have that sort of influence and a positive influence,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with somebody I've never seen. I've never seen the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but to, and that's what I was saying is that when I was 15 years old and I would leave my house and hang out with 20-something-year-old people and they would teach me their stupid shit, I was doing the same thing they did in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. I like the internet. It's fun.
Yeah, very fucking fun, man. It's so cool.
You meet all kinds of random fuckers.
Good or bad, and oh my god, man, I just have so much fun with it.
Oh yeah.
I I have like my cell phone sometimes, and I'll have fucking stupid noises, and so then when like I'll join a chat room, I'll tap the noise on my phone, to and I'll be like, "Yo, what's up?" And the special noise will happen. I'll be
Oh my
like,
god.
"It's a PlayStation professor." Like I get into it, okay?
Oh, that sounds fun. Got like a whole character going on. Now, I don't know. Have you seen you said you've only seen a few of my videos. Have you seen any of the videos in the Liberty Loop series?
Nope.
When this conversation's over, if I were to recommend doing that, I would recommend doing that.
Okay.
I'd like if you were to comment on any of those or all of those if you have the time. I'd love to see your opinion on that.
And how old were you when you made those
Oh,
videos?
these are within the past few weeks.
That's so amazing. And it's like I know you have this weird thing about you,
It's weird, huh?
okay? Just like me, I have a weird thing about me too with the stretchy skin, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I need to understand your weirdness.
Well, the only way to understand my weirdness is to continue to check out the catalog of poppin' videos.
Uh, do you think you learned anything from talking to me? I mean, like, I think I learned a few things from you about, you know,
Yeah, what's up? Hello? Is this thing on? Hello? Have I lost you? I'm gonna try to reset the call. Hello? 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 Is this thing?
you're,
Oh, hello?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just you completely cut out for the last like 60 seconds. What's up?
Oh, shit, man, dude.
Yeah. What's up?
I was starting to freak out. I was like, oh, well, I said something.
All right. So you said you learned from me, and then you cut off. So what did you learn?
Yeah, I, I, I learned that you know you've always felt that you were a female
Yeah,
since you were the age of 5. Like,
that's cool.
I never understood it. It it went that deep. I don't, you know.
It's definitely very deep. I will say that much. I like it deep.
I mean, was it that your dad accidentally bought you a Barbie doll? No.
No, it's not even remotely similar to that. I don't even. I mean, I liked all the typical shit that boys would like as a kid, but I also liked girl stuff too. So it was the situation where I just liked everything. And just I don't even personally. I don't even think that the whole you like toy X and you like toy Y paradigm even makes any sense to me because it's just who cares? It's just who cares about that kind of silly shit. It's more of an intrinsic kind of just factor rather than I liked fucking Barbies. Like I don't give a shit. Who cares?
But how much does it boil down to you just being confused in general? Like, whether you're a male or a female, like, are you
There's no real confusion.
fluid? Ugh.
I would say that the confusion ended probably when I was 10, and I kind of learned what the whole shindig was. But that's less confusion and more so ignorance, just that the lack of understanding about how the world works and how like the human body functions and how society functions. I don't think there's really ever a confusion phase.
Okay, because that's what I wonder. Like, because it used to be said that if you were born a white male in America, for you. I mean, does that even ring a bell to you?
Say that again. You were born a white male in America, then what?
All the doors were open for you.
I mean, obviously the amount of money that your parents make are a big factor in there, but relatively speaking, probably.
What if I told you that when I was growing up as a 15-year-old, I was hanging out with a Mexican family, I was hanging out with a black family, and I was hanging out with white motherfuckers too.
That's cool.
And I think, do you agree, maybe because I was white, that I could dip into these different cultures?
I think it's more likely that that's the case rather than, I would say, if you were brown skinned or black skinned, that there would be whatever percentage case there would be, it would be higher percentage of the unlikeliness for that to happen. Whether that be just, 5%, like forging those inroads with those people being just that much more out of reach to the point where you don't really go into their house or meet their family or something. Like,
No, no, I
just
met
something.
all their fam. I met
Yeah.
all their family.
Well, yeah,
I
like
met
my
all.
point is that, like, if you were in a different situation, you may not have, but it's not like a hard and fast rule that you do or you don't. It's one of those gray area things where it's just, there are a
Do
lot
you?
of people that do, and it's just a percentage thing, really.
I mean, do you think? Because I kind of think. Do you think? Because I'm white, I could mingle with all these different races.
I would say,
Whereas,
yeah, sure.
right, and I tend to agree with you. I think even if my skin stretched, it would have been harder for me as a black person to mingle with a Mexican
Mm-hmm.
family. I think in a fucked up way, not to say it's right,
Mm-hmm.
or then to hang out with the white folks, you know,
Mm-hmm.
being black. And who's to say? Who's to say? You know,
Mm-hmm.
because I am a charismatic person,
Right?
as you notice. Like I really think that I could fucking hang out with you tonight and have you live with me the next day.
Maybe. Sure.
Because you seem like an awesome person, and I want to be around awesome people. I want to understand your situation. Is I don't want to avoid it.
Right?
And that's the thing is that people that don't understand something are afraid of it.
Exactly. That's why it's really weird.
Right. And that's the whole reason I think that God gave us this technology to be able to communicate tonight is because remember I told you I'm not a religious person, I'm a spiritual
Yep.
person, okay? Now, do you agree with that?
Am I spiritual, or do I agree with your statement of fact about yourself?
I mean, do you agree that everything happens for a reason?
Oh, I missed that part. That didn't translate. No, I don't think that whatsoever.
Really?
No, I don't think that at all.
God damn it, man.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, then if it doesn't happen for a reason, then what does it happen for?
It just happens because it happens. I believe the whole world is chaos, and we're just kind of random molecules jumping around and clinging to each other in certain weird areas that create human beings that, randomly talk to each other. I barely even believe in the concept of free will. I believe in it in the sense that it exists, but I don't believe in it in any sort of ethereal way that, like, there's like a god telling us that we can go down this path and we choose to follow. I don't believe in any of that crap. I think for all
Do
intents and
you,
purposes that, we're all just chemical reactions responding to one another.
do you believe in human evolution?
Yeah, sure.
You believe that we evolved from apes?
Ape-like creatures. Yeah.
Can you explain why you believe that?
Just going by fossil data.
What if I told you that in 15 minutes I can explain it to you perfectly? Would you give me that 15 minutes?
Maybe tomorrow, because I do kind of want to get to bed soon. If that's all right.
Really?
Kind of. My bedtime's usually midnight, and we're fast approaching, because I'm on the East
You
Coast.
gotta, what do you got? You gotta work in the morning or something?
I I'm getting tired. That's my point.
Look,
And I'd rather be more alert and able to pay attention if we were to go into that territory. So I think that would be better suited for tomorrow or the day after or whenever.
I didn't know you were gonna get off at midnight or whatever. Well, it's only 10:40 where I am.
Yeah, it's 11:40 for me. I'm just getting tired is my point, you know? It's not like a hard and fast rule, but at the same time, I've been here for 3 hours and I'm kind of tired. You know what I mean? Like it's I'm not trying to diss you. It's just more of a, it's just how it is. Everything happens for a reason, right? I get
Yeah,
tired and the
yeah.
reason is I want to sleep.
You
Yep.
know, it's funny that you mentioned that about sleeping, is because when I was 15 years old, I would always have to sneak out of my house to hang out with the older folk
Right?
until 3 in the morning. If I wanted to gain the ultimate knowledge and wisdom, I had to fucking do that.
Right?
I had to stress myself out and fucking sneak out of my house and hang out till 3 in the morning and get 2 hours of sleep and then go to school the next morning.
Right?
That's how starved I was for knowledge and wisdom. Is
Mhm.
that I would I would force myself to stay awake because that's how hungry I was for knowledge. Now it kind of makes me upset that you're just gonna go to sleep like that. When I told you I could teach you about how humans evolved from apes,
Well, I'm not trying to
I'm
make
not
you
I'm
upset.
not sensing the hunger. I want to sense the hunger.
My thing is like I kind of already know the basic setup, and I'm not under the illusion that we'll never talk again. I'm under the illusion that we will talk again. And with that in mind, like if this were our only interaction ever throughout human history, I'd probably would be more interested. But assuming we could just talk again tomorrow, that makes me prefer sleep in the current moment. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
nah, you lost the hunger. Nah.
Well, I'm on a diet. Let's put it that way.
It's all right, and I know. But do you understand what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying. I
Is
think,
because when I was 15 years old, I wasn't sure of the conversation. Like
right,
you can say for sure we're gonna talk tomorrow night, so it doesn't matter.
right.
But my 15-year-old mind, I didn't know if those were gonna talk to me tomorrow.
No, yeah, I totally get you.
You know what I mean? And that's where the hunger was, man. Is and that's the one thing that I told you is that I talked to, and that's not even the only 13-year-old kid I talked to. I talked to all kinds of fucking 15, 16, whatever the fuck. And they would stay up till fucking 3 in the morning listening to me
Mm-hmm.
because they weren't sure if I was going to be back. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yep.
And they were like, I know I should go to sleep, but I'm a fucking, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna listen to this dude because this guy is fucking shining some fucking genius on me, and that will change my life forever. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yep.
And that's the thing. And that, like, I don't know if females communicate like that. Honestly, like, Is it a male thing where like men?
Maybe. I don't know.
Because like if I think about it, like how many times do you see women women going above and beyond, and to learn, you know what I mean?
I don't know. I have not seen any data either which way.
Right? Well, the time I've been talking to you, I don't know if you knew this, but I drove to a gas station and bought another 12 pack of Bud Light.
I thought I heard some noise. Were you just talking to me throughout the whole time? Like you're inside the shop and you're still talking and like people are looking at you? Is that what happened?
Yep.
That sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good.
Yep. So, because I thought we were going to talk a little bit later.
I mean, again, I'm down to do this again tomorrow. Um, I'm not trying to rain on anyone's parade. I'm not trying to be a party pooper. Uh, but that's my preference. And ultimately, I can just end the call and not talk to you. I can leave at any point. I'm just being respectful here. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I really want to go to bed, and you don't want me to, it's not like you can do anything about it. Um, so I'm just
Yeah.
telling you where I am. I'm trying to be respectful. But I
Yeah.
am getting tired. And it's not like I don't appreciate the conversation. Again, like this is fascinating to me. I really just love talking to new people because they just give me that perspective that I've never even thought about in a lot of ways. And I'm down to continue talking. Like if you want to do another 3 or 4 hours tomorrow, I can plan for that. Like tonight, I was not planning for a 3 hour conversation. I was planning for maybe an hour, right? Like at max. But like if you want to talk again tomorrow, and we can like I can plot that out. I'll make a pot of coffee or something. I'm down. You know?
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about life is as soon as you make a plan, it gets fucked.
Yep, it tends to happen.
But I just want you to know that a lot of the most deepest conversations that I've had with people has happened at 3 in the morning. Can you agree with me?
I mean, I can agree that that's happened to you. I can't agree if it's happened to myself or that's a general rule of thumb, but it's definitely happened to you. I can agree with that.
Yeah, is because by the time 3 in the morning happens, you're on some sort of freaky like sleep deprivation thoughts, and and like I'm just telling you, as somebody who has been in that position.
No, I mean
All right,
I've been there before myself. I can tell you.
and
It's definitely an interesting concoction. If you want, I'm down to drink alcohol tomorrow. We can make it more fun. Um, but
no, no, no. I drank alcohol tonight, so I'm not gonna want to. I don't.
you don't double
I'm.
dip.
I don't do. Nah, man. I barely double dipped when I was 21.
I feel
Like
you.
for me to get drunk 2 days in a row was exceptional.
Well, I mean this at the same time this is an exceptional matching, a meeting of the minds, so to speak. So, who knows?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna do this again. All right. All right. Well, I don't know. It sounds like you're trying to get off the phone with me.
A little bit. Yeah. Again, I'm not, no disrespect. I'm not trying to rush. I'm not trying to be rude. Uh, I'm at the point where I am tired. Um, so I would definitely like to go to bed. And those are my intentions. There's no ill will or malice or anything directed at you in any capacity.
Like, remember when I told you, like, it did not offend me that you thought my idea was bizarre?
Yes.
All right. Trust me. You will never offend me. I
All
don't care
right.
what the fuck you. You do not have the ability to offend
I'll test that sometime.
me. All right, well, fine. I guess let's leave on a high note. It sounds like you want to go.
All right, all right.
Um,
I hate to disappoint
you,
you. I hate to leave you hanging, but
that maybe we could hang out for another couple hours.
we can also just do that tomorrow. um, when I am more well situated to do so, because
I,
I have things I need to do in the morning. I don't necessarily want to stay up too late. Again, if I were to plan around it, that's another thing. But I used to be more spontaneous. I'm a little less spontaneous nowadays.
I know. What? Stop acting like you're goddamn old, man.
I'm
Like that's like
sorry.
me.
I'm
Like
sorry.
I'm just that way too. I'm like I used to be more spontaneous, dude. I'm fucking
Yeah,
36 years old.
hey, I mean, I'm at that point now. But yeah, again, do you mind if I upload this? Like, cause this seemed like it would be something relatively interesting. It's just a matter of personal privacy. But I mean, this could theoretically be something that a few hundred people listen to, and it propels your knowledge forward. Um, I'm not sure if that interests you, but you have the final say either way.
I mean, is there any way you could like delete my name out
Yeah,
of out of it?
sure.
Because I don't think my name is relevant.
I don't have to use your name in any capacity.
Yeah, I think that would be great. And I think it'd be a very interesting story for people to listen to. I think
Yeah, I mean, like again, like you'll get my audience listening to you, and we'll see where that goes. They might dislike you, they might like you, they might think you're interesting. Who knows? You get a lot more opinions.
I mean, like literally when I was the PlayStation professor, which
Yep.
I still am, but in my beginning days, I would tell my life story and like people would join in and they'd be like, "Dude, start
Right.
over." And
Right.
then like everybody in the chat room would be like, "No, man, he's an hour into his life story. He's gonna get to start over." It
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
was so much fun, man. Much fun. And it sucks that it doesn't happen as much as it used to. I still fuck around on PlayStation, but it just there was that magic, like fucking 5 years ago or whatever it was.
I mean, sometimes it just happens. The glory days and so forth.
Yeah, the glory
All of
days.
a sudden, you wake up and it's like, yeah, I guess that's not happening anymore.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it any less special.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, like if you want to post it on there, just whatever. I guess how many Chris Sanders are there? So fucking millions, whatever. So I guess,
Yeah, I mean,
but
it's not like, yeah, it doesn't really matter as far as I say.
I mean, I did kind of talk about a couple legal things
What legal
though.
things?
Yeah, so maybe you should.
What legal things?
Well, remember I talked about the car accidents and everything.
Is that legal?
Well, kinda.
Can that get you arrested? I mean, when did this happen? Like years ago?
Well, I don't know if double jeopardy is involved now or whatever.
I don't. I mean, I'll look up the legal code. I don't think that really matters though, because I mean, I talk about breaking the law all the time on my videos, and hey, I've not gotten any door knocks, so I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I don't know if I might want to be a politician someday.
That's also, but then you get that origin story. This will come up, and then people will listen to it and go like, "Hey, this guy's a real guy."
That could be any Chris Sanders.
It could have been. It could have been.
Let's face it, I'm probably never going to be a politician. God damn it, man. Like, fuck.
Hey,
All
you
right,
never
but
know.
if you could just do me a favor and just, like, kind of cut my name out of it, and I don't know how much of a pain in the ass it is.
I can try. It would be kind of a pain in the ass considering it's 3 hours, but
You
I
gotta
can
listen,
try.
you gotta listen to them.
I can definitely try.
I'd appreciate that. Well, it doesn't matter. Whatever. It's a fake name anyway.
That sounds fake.
It's totally fake.
I mean,
Yeah,
I feel like it's fake news. I don't know.
yeah, totally fake news. That's not even my real name.
Like, are you related to Bernie Sanders? Yeah, right?
Right, exactly. And I was kind of feeding off of his.
But yeah,
Who gives?
it's been nice
Who gives
talking to
it?
you. I'm gonna
Yeah.
skedaddle.
Who cares?
If you have any
All right.
questions or want to hit me up tomorrow, feel free. But I'm fucking tired, yo.
All right. Like I told you. God damn it, man.
God
Fight
damn it,
through the
indeed.
fight through the tiredness, man. You're gonna get some
I fought when I
really,
was younger.
really
I
good shit.
I
Have
don't.
you ever had that happen in your life where you stayed up a lot longer than you should have, and you ended up fucking learning something crazy?
I have been there. I've been there.
Well, I was about to bring you there tonight.
We can just do it tomorrow.
You promise?
Sure.
All right. Well, what time works for you tomorrow?
I'll tell you in the afternoon if that's all right. That way
Yeah. All right.
I can
All right.
assess.
Are you gonna be on the same Discord
Oh
thing?
yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. Definitely.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. I'll see you, bud. You have a good one.
All right. You too.
All right. See ya.
Yep. Bye bye.
That was interesting. That was interesting. For sure.